I want to play you this little piece of audio. This comes from New Zealand. There's a program called 7-Eleven. And in this clip, one sends Wellington presenter, former New Zealand rugby star Israel Dagg, praise the Springboks as unstoppable, and they reflect on their dominant 73-0 victory over Wales this past weekend, and they say the Boks are so undefeated as a team. It's as if you're fighting zombies, and so they come up with all these movie titles from horror movies to describe the Bokke. I thought this would be a fun way to start the show.
They won't quit. They won't die. They are rugby's version of a horror movie, aren't they? They really are, the Springboks. If you don't bury them 10 feet deep, they will come back to haunt you and punish you for your sins. We saw this movie in the quarterfinals and the semi-finals. They are the zombie apocalypse. They've built a catalogue of battling back and slashing their way to a win. They've produced Return of the Living Box, Night of the Living Dead Box, Creature of the Bok Lagoon, House on Springbok Hill. I've told you I've spent way too much time thinking about this. Polterbox, The Bok Witch Project, Springbok Chainsaw Massacre, Village of the Dan Box, Bokkaween, Dawn of the Dead Box. Should I go on? Yes, and I'll whip myself into a frenzy while I do it. Invasion of the Bok Snatchers, The Bocky Man, The Silence of the Box, and Nightmare on Box Street. I need to stop. And I need this game to start. Is anyone else with me? Thank expletive, the game is not played in this little head. I've gone mad, and all I know, it's going to be a Jack Ripper of a game. And you can hear it and scream along with it right here.
I thought that was fun. Absolutely no reason to play it, but I can, and I did. What was your highlight this weekend? The Bok game? Was it sport? Was it something else entirely? Do give us a WhatsApp voice note on 072 702 1702 and let us know. And of course, as we start the December period and the festive season, what's your family's go-to game? What's the one that you all play together that brings you together? And do you do so in a competitive spirit, or is it something that's just about the fun? This is the one that unites all the ages. Is it Crazy 8, the card game? Is it Monopoly? Is it 30 Seconds? What is it that you do? And how much have you taught children? So I grew up in a period, Amo, where we didn't necessarily have toys, but we had pen and paper.
Yeah.
And we invented all sorts of games to play. There was a thing called Tip Top. And how do I explain Tip Top? You would take an A4 page, you would draw on the margin, and then you'd also draw on the right where there would be an imaginary margin, and then you draw vertical lines, and you'd leave quite a bit of space at the top and quite a bit of space at the bottom. And then you'd make another little piece of paper, a ball, which is what you would play with, and you would flick it with your finger. And as it lands on each vertical line, you would draw a little man in your box, and the little man eventually would have a gun, and then he'd shoot his opponent. And the more you killed of your opponent, the more you won. And then you would get to Tip Top.
And how many people can play on
Two.
one? Oh, only two people.
Two people can play Tip Top at the same time. But part of the whole victory dance is to go Tip Top, Tip Top. We played all these silly games because we didn't have the resources, right? And I try to teach my children. Remember the general knowledge one?
Yes.
With what was it? It was boy, girl, veg, fruit, car,
a lot of things in there.
country,
Yeah.
you know, and people had to figure out, because then you would roll and on A.
Would you roll, or would you just go according
You'd
to
point.
alphabets?
You'd point out
You'd
to
point, yeah.
Oh,
letter,
So
yeah.
you'd
yes,
have
I
the
remember.
alphabet
Yes.
randomly written, and then you would look the other way and point, and if your pen falls on F, then you have to fill in all those categories with the first letter of the letter you chose.
Yeah.
But I don't know how we calculated the time, because we didn't have those little timers.
How did we
Or
calculate
was it the person whose
the
turn
first
it
one
was?
to finish with writing all of the names, or then
Would
he would
then
have
say
to,
stop.
yeah.
It wasn't the person who chose it. I think it was the person. No.
Whoever
Finishes the
finishes all the rounds,
categories,
of things
then
you
can
need to
say-
write, they say stop. And wherever you are, then we start telling the numbers.
But what if they didn't have anything or very much?
I mean, you eventually stop.
no, what I'm saying is it could be a strategy.
Yeah.
So I know Muteo knows everything, but I know 5 out of the 10 categories.
You can't say stop.
No,
if
you can only
haven't
say
finished
stop if you can.
filling
if you
out
feel
all
Your
the
it.
things are
categories.
empty.
Yes.
Ah, gosh. What's your go-to game as a family? Let us know.
Let's walk the talk.
702.
Keeping an eye on news, of course, President Cyril Ramaphosa once again hitting out at his U.S. counterpart as far as the spreading of false claims about land grabs and a white genocide in South Africa. I read a piece in one of the Sunday papers that suggests that Pretoria has had enough. They have had absolutely enough, and whatever this man does, he's going to do it anyway. He doesn't need evidence. He doesn't want the truth. And so they realize that we've become his punching bag, and we're no longer just going to sit there and take the blows, but he's got real power that he can exercise. And so, I mean, how much do we really want to poke the bear remains the question.
Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa.
On 702. Let's walk the talk.
Muteo Kharipa, you've got a question of your own?
Bit of a cheeky one this morning, but please, let's play along. Since we're in the spirit of playing, right?
Ooh, okay.
You ever look at people, whether it's in traffic, whether it's in a shopping mall, or just in life in general, and you just wonder where they get the money?
Yeah.
Where you just parked at a robot and there's 3 guys in Ferraris, and you're just like, guys, what's going on?
Or sometimes you're at that family gathering, right? And there's a card that rolls up, and you're like,
Whose car is that?
Mzala, no?
I thought I knew what they do.
Now you want to find out.
You know, I thought, gosh, okay, maybe I went into the wrong career. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a common experience when you feel that people are really...
Not in a malicious way, but just wondering,
No,
in
you
this
just go,
economy, guys, where are you guys working? You know?
Right? Or sometimes people going on trips.
Yes.
People drinking expensive bottles. Just in jail because...
And
you
you
just
want
go,
you want the plug as well.
You're like, you're doing very nicely there by that place.
702.
Weather.
Let's see about the conditions you can expect. That rain last night was something else, was it not? In the middle of the night, that storm. So partly cloudy day in store for Gauteng. Scattered showers and thunder showers are expected, though. Temperatures will peak at 16 in Johannesburg, 26 in Pretoria, 26 for Vereeniging as well. So that's quite a considerable difference between Jozi and the capital in V-Town. Your high in Bombela is 25. It's 29 in Bloemfontein. Gqeberha and East London both peaking at 25 degrees. Cape Town maxes at 28.
EWN Traffic.
Now, this EWN Traffic is brought to you by Outsurance. SMS out to 45142 now, and you could save on your car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand. Amma, what are you seeing?
Well, we've got delays on the N12 East. This is in the Protea Glen area. This is between the R558 and Abu Bakr Drive. Please be on the lookout there. While traveling on the N3 North, delays between the Geldenes interchange and the Kilulis interchange. And if you continue making your way towards Edenville, we've got an accident on the R24 East. It happened right at the N12 merge, delays from the Kilulis interchange. More updates coming up. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app. The Outsurance pointsmen know that every car on the road carries a story. There's a car with a nervous but excited first-time driver waiting for the perfect gap to switch lanes. I can do this. The pressure. The Outsurance pointsman knows it's not just a car in traffic. It's a sense of freedom and independence on the move. Every story is different, and every story matters. That's why the Outsurance pointsmen have been doing what they do since 2005, in proud partnership with 702. Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP. 702.
Add your voice.
Have your say.
Let's walk the talk.
Morning, Bongani, and happy December to everyone. You know, my highlight of would be yesterday's prayer service at FNB. The order that was shown there was just great. That was another level of unity that is really needed. I hope we could as a country take what happened yesterday in FNB as an example of how we can teach each other to hold each other's hand and live together. Yeah, man. AB Mahlatsi in Midrand.
Good morning, 702 lenders. Good morning, Bongani. My highlight of the weekend, Bongani, it was nice. I met you, man. I met my other half, Bongani. We even took a picture. Yeah, if you could remember. Yeah, I even swept my phone. Like, yo, man, take this side of a selfie. Yeah, and it was a great one. I was working there doing sound bongs. Yeah, on that event. Yeah, hey, it was so nice meeting you, Bongs. And good morning to 702 lenders. Good December. Away.
Love it, love it. We're talking about your highlights for this weekend. It's always great when people come up and take pictures and talk about the show. So I'm always open to that, by the way. It was an absolutely fantastic weekend. I want to know from you your go-to game as far as your family. And is it competitive? Does it get ugly? Are there tears? Have there been awkward silences? Do you sulk when you lose?
Start your day with Bongani Bingwa.
On 702. Let's walk the talk.
22 after 6 things you need to know at this hour. Tragedy, by the way, on Saturday morning at the Soweto Marathon. And I don't know if you ran, but it seems, even from the visuals I saw, there was a little bit of chaos there. But a 39-year-old taxi driver allegedly hit a 37-year-old female runner near the Soweto Highway in Orlando East. And apparently he tried to drive off, but police caught up with him, and tests showed that his blood alcohol was more than double the legal limit. The runner was rushed to Chris Baragwanath Hospital with serious injuries, and despite a heavy police presence along the route for the 20,000 participants, one of them, of course, included the Deputy President, Paul Mashatile, who also participated in that marathon, we are told. If you're a part of the Soweto Marathon, I'd love to hear from you. How did it go? Was it well organized? It seemed to me that there were motorists and taxi drivers who were driving even as the runners were running. So that would have been chaotic. And here's this story. How about this one, hey? In Joburg last week, the former public protector, advocate Thulima Dansela, was in court. And she's challenging her late partner, Edward Foxton's 2025 will. That will, leaves her just a property in Cape Town. But Madonsela apparently argues that they need to look at the 2020 will that her former partner had written, which left her over 10 million rand. And she says that's the one that should stand. And she claims Foxton's children and an estate executor are trying to push through a will that doesn't reflect his true wishes. The family hasn't commented yet, and if nothing else, that tells you estate planning is something that is so important, and it is crucial to have those conversations whilst you're still alive. I've spoken before about estate planners who say these are the things you're going to entrust to these people, whatever it may be. You trust them so much that your life's work goes to these hands, but you don't tell them while you're still alive. They have to wait until you're dead to find out. Do you see what I mean? I think those conversations are so crucial up front. Now, over in Indonesia, rescuers still searching for at least 400 people missing after a cyclone there. It triggered deadly floods and landslides in Sumatra. As I say, more than 400 people have died. Some villages remain cut off. Residents are now scavenging for food and water, even as aid arrives by air and sea. We'll get more details on that in the World View. Back home on the rugby field, South Africa's Springboks, as you will know, wrapped up a dominant season in Cardiff with, but the end was sour, was it not? I don't know if you saw those disturbing visuals of Eben Etzebeth shown a red card in the final minutes. There they were up 73 points to 0. They were up. And yet he was caught quite literally trying to gouge the eye of one of the Welsh players. It's just an unbelievable thing to do. And I think even Rassi said, yep, that didn't look so good. So I think he's going to be banned for quite some time, because for all the crying foul about how the Boks are targeted, that was an absolutely unnecessary moment. And here's a lighter one. Back in 1929, The game of bingo was invented in the United States. It quickly became a social hit, bringing people together in halls, homes, and now online. And it's not just about luck, is it, bingo? Community, laughter, and those almost wins that keep everyone coming back. And that's why we've been asking you, what's your go-to game as a family or with friends? Is it bingo, cards, 30 seconds, charades, chess, or something completely different? Charades, maybe. And tell us why you love it so much.
702.
The newspapers.
27 after 6. Sfisa Zulu, let's look at the papers. And as we do so, do you have a favorite game that you play with friends and family, particularly over the festive period?
I don't necessarily come from a game playing family, but I would suggest the old games that we used to play as kids outside, Mkusha, Three Tins, just to get off those calories after lunch.
Have you taught your nephews
I
and
have,
nieces
I have,
those?
yes. When I'm at home, sometimes I do. When I get bored, we do play those. But it's not as fun anymore. We used to play in the streets. The kids from the other block would come and compete with the kids from this block. So those are fun games that we should look into.
A couple of years ago, I did a
playing.
braai with some friends, and we played Indigenous games, and it was it was a riot.
It's fun.
We had so much fun.
Yeah.
All right, what's in the papers?
Yeah, people who are not having fun are angry crowds in Israel who have been protesting outside President Isaac Herzog's home in Tel Aviv. They're basically protesting against Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's petition. So he's asked for a presidential pardon from corruption charges. And these charges stem from a trial that has been going on for 5 years of 3 separate cases. In one case, him and his wife, Sarah, are accused of accepting more than $260,000 worth of luxury goods, cigars, champagne from billionaires in exchange for political favors. Of course, he says that he's not involved in any of these allegations that have been leveled against him. And one protester during the protest was dressed up as Netanyahu in an orange suit, which is a prison-style jumpsuit, calling for him to basically go to jail amid these allegations.
I'm looking at the front page of The Citizen this morning. New grant will save hungry babies. South Africa's child stunting crisis demands urgent action. Advocates say a pregnancy grant costing 2 billion rand could save lives, cut healthcare costs, and secure healthier futures for mothers and their children. Rassi, of course, also on the front page of that Citizen today. Rassi praising his box, and the paper remembers the Helderberg disaster.
EWN Business.
29 after 6. Mateo, you want to know, do we look at the others and wonder where they get the money, the fancy cars maybe, or you overhear them talk about their vacations, or you look at their trolleys at the shop? I'm not quite sure I do that, but trolleys at the shop? Who looks at other people's trolleys?
Not what's in the trolley, but how many they have. Then you wonder how big the family is, and you go on a whole tangent. Yeah,
no, that's true. That's true. What prompts the
I'm
question?
asking that question, Bongani, because South Africa just came out of the busy Black Friday weekend, and those that have the money definitely spent it. Payment firm Peach Payments has been tracking Black Friday digital transaction data in real time throughout the shopping weekend and already saw more than 80% growth in sales over the 2024 period. The largest transaction that Peach Payments recorded was more than 1 million rand, and that was in the travel and tourism sector. So somebody spent that on a holiday package. At around 6 p.m. on Friday, consumers were still spending and swiping their cards with amounts for single transactions of 112,000 rand, 111,000 rand, and 90,000 rand. Discovery's dashboard showed that by 5 p.m. on Friday, the largest single card transaction was 500,000 rand. They didn't say what that was for, with an average local in-store card transaction value of 529 rand and online card transaction average of 951 rand.
So can I tell you my story on Friday?
Yeah.
My Black Friday story. I decided to go to Checkers. So not a fancy place. I wasn't getting Louis Vuitton. I wasn't getting Burberry. I was just doing actually the week's groceries. And the F&B app was down. So, you pay with your phone and the app was down. And it would go ahead on my phone. So I'm seeing the money disappear, but the merchant says declined. I'm like, but So anyway, long short, it turns out the app was down. So I go to my car to go fetch the physical card because I'm hoping that can still work. I walk back to the store and I check my pockets. I don't know what's happened to my card. My card has disappeared. I go back to the vehicle and there it is in the holder. It turned out when I got back to the car, I just zoned out and walked back to the store without the card. And I realized, and I could see this lady looking at me like, it's Black Friday. I know people like you. She gave me that look.
Taking chances.
I know people like you. Because I thought I was going to get specials. The best special I found was toilet paper, where you get 2 18-packs for, I think, $150.
I think we got that too because I saw a whole lot of toilet paper at the house.
No. Everybody's got toilet paper because of Black Friday. Where's the rand?
17 rand 13 cents against the US dollar on a bit of the weaker side this morning at 19 rand 85 against the euro, 22 rand 65 against the British pound. Price of gold up 0.5% at $4,237 an ounce, while platinum is at $1,693. Brent crude at $63.35 a barrel. More business after 7.
Straight to the news desk we go. Sfiso Zulu at this point. Let's reflect on this woman who was hit. Is this the one at the Soweto Marathon?
That's right, Bongani. Good morning. The 45-year-old female athlete is still in hospital after suffering serious injuries during the annual Soweto Marathon. The woman was hit by a taxi driver when he forced his way onto the route on Saturday. Police have confirmed that the driver was under the influence of alcohol and he was arrested after trying to flee the scene. He is expected to appear in court soon on charges of driving under the influence of alcohol and reckless and negligent driving. Meanwhile, the Transport Department has launched a new strategy for road users this festive season. It includes the deployment of 800 national traffic police in high-risk provinces such as Gauteng, Limpopo, KwaZulu-Natal and the Eastern Cape. Minister Barbara Creasy says at least 9,400 road deaths have already been reported so far just this year alone, which is a 700 fewer number than the same period last year. Creasy was speaking at a launch of the festive season campaign on the N1 highway in Kroonstad.
We are going to step up public awareness campaigns through multimedia and community channels. The education and awareness campaigns will be pursued to ensure that road safety messages reach all communities and various road users.
And on air travel, aviation authorities are investigating the cause of a plane crash that left 2 people dead at the Morningstar airfield in Cape Town. 2 occupants were on board a Sling 2 aircraft, including a flight instructor and a private license holder when it departed from the airfield. The Accidents and Incidents Investigations Division says the aircraft crashed shortly after takeoff. The South African Civil Aviation Authority is expected to publish a report into the incident within 30 days. And Sri Lanka and Indonesia have deployed military personnel to help victims of devastating flooding that has killed nearly 1,000 people across 4 countries in Asia in recent days. Separate weather systems brought torrential, extended rainfall to the entire island of Sri Lanka and large parts of Indonesia's Sumatra, southern Thailand and northern Malaysia last week. Warships carrying aid have been sent to some of the worst hit areas where many roads remain blocked. A partly cloudy day in store for Gauteng with scattered showers. The temperatures are at lows of 12 and 16 degrees, peaking at highs of 26 degrees.
And in the traffic, we've got delays. In fact, heavy traffic volumes on the N3 North between the Airlines Interchange and the Linksfield Road exit. There's also an accident reported on the R24 East. This is just as you approach the N12 merge, causing delays from the Kilulis Interchange.
The top story this hour, a 45-year-old female athlete is still in hospital after suffering serious injuries during the annual Soweto Marathon.
Don't delay the fun. Fly into summer with FlySafair, Africa's most on-time airline, and land right on schedule to start your holiday. With our consistent on-time arrivals, we'll get you to family, friends, and good times even faster. From local hotspots and beyond to Mauritius, Zanzibar, Zim, and Namibia, you have so much choice on where to soak up the sun. Time's ticking. Get to flysafair.co.za now and book those holiday flights fast. FlySafair, for the love of flying.
Sure, your phone's from there. Your kids' toys? Definitely. But your SUV? No thanks. The Mini Countryman from 9,899 Rand per month with Mini Select Finance. Visit mini.co.za to book your test drive. Select offer only available from Mini Financial Services, a division of BMW Financial Services South Africa Pty Limited, an authorized financial services and registered credit provider. Offer exclusively applies to the Mini Countryman. Initiation and service fee apply. Offer linked to the current prime rate, calculated on a 10% deposit, 48 monthly installments, final GFV payment, and 80,000 kilometer contract limit. Changes to the deal and optional extras will impact finance offer. Offer valid until 31 December, subject to stock availability. T's and C's apply.
Make summer even more extra with free gifts from Vodacom, like the Oppo Find X9 Pro for just 1,399 per month over 36 months on a 6 gig red core plan. Comes with a wireless charger, Oppo Watch X2, 80-watt charger, magnetic phone case, and Oppo Care worth 18,999 on us. Plus, get 5 gigs YouTube data for 3 months. Available in-store and online. T's and C's apply. Further together, Vodacom.
The Money Show.
Weekday evenings at 6.
On the next Money Show, we chat financial results with Discovery Life Insurance. We have the comedian Vafa Nagari on How I Make My Money and a conversation on how South Africa retailers are rewriting the rules of play in the 7 billion rand toy shake-up. All of that and more on your next Money Show.
The Money Show
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
The Money Show, Stephen Curtis, is brought to you by ABSA CIB. Invested in your story because your story matters. ABSA is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider.
702.
WhatsApp Bongani on 072
702 1702.
Good morning, Bongani. Party games from years ago. Come on, own up. At what age did you start playing Postman Knock or Spin the Bottle? Trust you're going to have a really jolly December and slow down. Take it easy. Enjoy the day. Don't chase tomorrow. Have a good day, Tom.
Hello, Bongani and team. We have a family farm in Ekomani, and we go back for Christmas most years. And we've got a family game that we invented called Hock Golf. So the farmhouse, fortunately, has an enormous garden. And we've built a 9-hole course around, and we use hockey sticks and tennis balls, and it gets very competitive. We've had people storm off in the middle of the game because they get so angry. And it's quite a big family and a very competitive family. So yeah, lots of fun. Hock Golf.
Good morning, Bongani. This is Paul from Madagascar. I am South African, but I'm based in Tananarivo. Our favorite Christmas period game is 30 Seconds. We've had some hilariously funny moments over the years across generations playing that game. 2 quick examples is have a sister-in-law who had been living overseas for a number of years. This is quite a while ago. And she had come back and she had the list of questions. So she went through them, did very well. And at the end, she said, I just don't know what this one is. So we said, yeah, do tell. And she said, what is a Tokyo sex whale? Anyway, so we all, lots of screeching and laughing. And then the other one was, I was asking the questions and my mother-in-law was answering. And I put on a deep voice, an authoritative voice, put my hand in the air with showing some power. And I said, who said, I have a dream? And my mother-in-law shouted out, ABBA!
Oh, that is the voice note of the morning coming all the way from Madagascar. I'd love to hear more about what you're doing in Antananarivo and just what life must be like there and whether, of course, you miss home. It's always great to hear from listeners from elsewhere around the world. Hock Golf is the one game they play with his family. I'm asking you very simply, as you look forward to the holidays, what's your go-to game as a family? And do you play in a very competitive environment? Have there been tears? Or is it more about just doing it together as a family, and whoever gets competitive, you know, you sort of tell them to tone it down a little? And when you've got younger kids, how do you deal with them learning how to lose, right? Because that's part of what these games teach you, is you've got to learn to accept how to lose.
EWN Sport.
Cindy Paluta, do you guys have a go-to game as a family?
We don't. We like to play backgammon a lot, but that's obviously just two people. It gets competitive. But last year we had a stay-home Christmas, just the four of us, on Christmas Day, and we played games, but different games. So, you get those long, sticky hands that we used to buy them at the Rand show where the kids use them to like grab stuff. It's long and it's elastic.
Yeah.
It's like gooey.
Yeah.
Put a 5 rand down in the middle of the table, and then each of you get a hand each, and then you're trying to grab this 5 rand. It was hysterical. We were crying with laughter. And then the other one was I bought cotton wool balls. The cotton wool balls, a whole lot of them.
Mm-hmm.
And you scatter them all over the table, and then you put 2 plastic cups on each of your hands, like reindeer hooves, and you've got to put on reindeer antlers, and you've got to try to scoop up as many cotton wool ball
With your
thingies as you
plastic
can and
cups.
put them in a bowl, and then whoever wins. It was so entertaining.
I love especially games you invent as a family because those become unique to your family. All right, send us more of those voice notes on 072-702-1702. Talking of losing, I knew it the moment that the Zorzi catch was dropped.
Yeah,
I
me
thought,
too.
This is now the game against the Proteas yesterday.
And I literally tweeted, Rohit dropped on 1. And then I wrote, Rohit dropped on 1 by Dezorzi, full stop, noted, full stop. And Rohit went on, obviously, to make 60-odd, which then helped India to 349 for 8, but it was Kohli with 135, and then it was also a half century for Sharma that got India to 349 for 8 in the end. It was unbelievable. Then the Proteas in reply trying to chase that 350 in the first ODI. They were in trouble on 11 for 3. They lost Rickleton and de Kock very early on for Ducks. Markram went for 7. They got close to the win though. Bretzke 72, Janssen 70 from 39 and Bosch 67, but they ended up losing by 17 runs. Here's Janssen.
It's always nice to come in when the batters ahead of you are on a roll or whatever, but at the moment I'm just trying to focus on watching the ball and just playing it as it comes, and at the moment it's working for me, so hopefully I can continue that and continue making contributions for the team.
It's becoming such a fantastic all-rounder, as Janssen.
Yep. Second ODI is Wednesday. The Warriors are T20 Challenge champions for the first time in 15 years. They beat Boland on a super over. Arsenal came from a goal down to draw 1-1 with Chelsea. They stay 5 points clear at the top of the Premier League. Casado was sent off before Shalaba put the Blues ahead and Marino levelled. Aston Villa beat Wolves 1-0 to stay 4th. Brighton with a 2-0 win over Nottingham. Man United beat Crystal Palace 2-1. Palace have now dropped to 9th. Liverpool beat a 10-man West Ham 2-0. While back home, Orlando Pirates have opened a 3-point gap at the top of the table. Yesterday's only game, Galants and Magesi finished 1-1. Formula One Drivers' Championship will be decided on the last race of the season in Abu Dhabi this weekend. Norris, Piastri and Verstappen can all win it. Last night, Verstappen won in Qatar ahead of Piastri and Sainz, with Norris in 4th after McLaren's poor strategy call not to put under the safety car. Here's Verstappen.
Yeah, I mean, we did the right call there, of course, to box. So I was very happy with that. But I think overall, over the whole race, we were not too bad in pace. I mean, we didn't have the pace of McLaren, but of course, when you make that call, you already have quite a big gap. Almost like a free pit stop. So, very happy to win. I know, of course, the gap came down quite a bit. But at the same time, you need to be realistic. I think winning it on pure pace, probably not. But anything can happen in a race like it showed today.
Springboks return home unbeaten from the year-end tour. They played Japan, France, Wales and Italy, scoring a total 222 points, conceding only 51 in their 5 matches played. And in the United Rugby Championship, the Stormers are second on the table after beating Munster by 6. The Lions beat the Bulls by 10 to climb to 7th. Sharks are 4th from bottom after losing to Connacht by 27. And in Sevens Rugby, the Blitzboks finished 5th in Dubai. They now shift their focus to Cape Town this weekend. Cindy Paluta, Eyewitness News Sport.
Part of the 702 family.
My name is Iwet Machinya Tsimbi. I'm from Deep Blue Phase 3. I've listened to 702 since 1980, when it was still Channel 702, when it was still a music radio station. Till today, I still listen to this station. I get the information from this station. I get empowered. I get to be informative. Thank you, 702, and keep on rocking.
Welcome to our 702 family. Let's walk the talk.
Corporates That Care promotes and encourages corporate leaders and all citizens to walk the talk for a better South Africa. Catch it this Wednesday, 10 to 9, featuring NTT Data. Their managing executive, Amantha Naidu, will be in conversation with me, and we do this on Wednesdays to highlight efforts of companies and brands dedicated to building our country. Corporates That Care is a Prime Media Cares initiative with 702 and Prime Media Outdoor. 702, let's walk the talk and together make a difference.
The team's on a roll today. Let me focus on payroll. Duty calls in the kitchen. That's why I have a business insurer that is agile and on the ball all the time on all things. I chose My Way Business Insurance, getting 24/7 emergency service and saving on my premiums, plus my business assist to handle my admin.
Visit myway.co.za or dial 0860 64 64 64 and get a quote today. My Way is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's, C's and standard rates apply. My Way. Live your way.
Hi, this is Anlia Itzebet, Hollywood Bets brand ambassador. A reminder that you can still shoot for the stars while playing responsibly. If you or someone you know needs help, call the South African Responsible Gambling toll-free counselling line on 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. Hollywood Bet supports responsible gambling. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop.
The brainy kids of the Whiz Quiz
on 702.
Good morning, Radio 702. My name is Petolo Molapo and I am 12 years old in Littleton Primary School. When I grow up, I want to be a neurologist and I can't wait to play the Whiz Quiz with Uncle Bongani.
Ah, Petula, will you have all the answers? That's what I want to know.
702.
Coming up at 7:15, the big interview.
EWN Traffic.
All right, let's catch up with the traffic. 12 to 7. Amma, what are you seeing? Delays on the N3 North?
Definitely, Bongani. This is due to peak time delays as well as that accident that happened on the R24 West right after the Gluli's interchange. And that's the reason for that long backup coming out of the Earlands interchange. We also have good queuing traffic on the N12 West towards the R24 merge as a result of that accident. More updates coming up. Do stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
PG Glass Repair, PG Glass Replace.
Hi, I'm Telane, PG Glass Technician. Got a chip on your windscreen? No worries. Our advanced repair technology fixes it with precision. If you don't have insurance, we offer affordable cash deals on high-quality windscreen replacements to keep you safe.
We can also help you claim from your insurance. Plus, you get a lifetime workmanship guarantee. As the natural choice to fix your glass problems, we're the best at what we do. For quality you can trust, call 0860 030303 today.
Elevate your flying experience with Lift Premium. Enjoy even more space, comfort, and convenience with priority boarding, extra baggage allowance, and complimentary lounge access. Visit lift.co.za today.
Business Outsurance are experts in business insurance for general practitioners, dentists, surgeons, and other medical specialists. Kuveni.
It's so nice to know the business risk is taken care of by Business Outsurance. The call center was just a dream to deal with. Very seamless, easy experience. It just feels like the people we're talking to on the other line understand our needs.
Switch to Business Outsurance and you could get a massive 20% discount on your business insurance premium. Visit outsurance.co.za. Switch and save today. Licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
Brilliant ideas are born every day across Africa, but to become breakthroughs, they need the right home. Wits University is answering that call with the Wits BioHub, Africa's first fully integrated bedside to bench to breakthrough campus. Catch 702 in conversation with Wits University on John Perlman this Tuesday, 2nd December, as we discuss the groundbreaking Wits BioHub with Professor Glenda Gray. It's a 28,000 square meter world-class science institute, turning discovery into impact for good on 702.
Who is the whizziest of them all?
It's the Whiz Quiz on 702.
All right, let's see if we can give away some cash. Today we're playing with 12-year-old Petulo. Petulo, of course, your name is all about finding the answers. Are you going to get good answers, Petulo?
Yes.
Yes, says with confidence. Let's see how well you can do, hey? Good luck. Fingers crossed. Petulo,
Yes.
good luck.
Thank you.
Okay, KG, let's start the clock. Spell the word gateway.
Gateway.
Correct. What is the name for a baby goat?
Pass.
A kid. True or false? The large African city Cairo lies on the Nile River in Egypt.
True.
Correct. How many countries are there on the African continent? Are they 54 or 49?
54.
Correct. Which country is known for its Great Wall?
China.
Correct. What, beginning with C, is given to a young lion as a name?
Cub.
Correct. Who was the first black president of the United States of America?
Pass.
Barack Obama. What sport is known as the beautiful game? Soccer or football is the answer we were looking for there. And unfortunately, we've simply run out of time. Petulo, you have given us some answers. 500 Rand is what you walk away with. Remember, of course, it's 100 Rand for each correct answer. And you get 500 Rand. You get a 10,000 Rand prize if you get all 10 correct.
The Brainy Kids of the Whiz Quiz
On 702.
Coming up in the next hour, what's the question? And it's brought to you by Outsurance. Up to 3,000 Rand in cash is up for grabs. So what you do is you send us an answer based on anything you heard on the show, and you could win 1,000 Rand for that. You simply WhatsApp us your name and the answer to 072 702 1702. A little later, someone else will ask a question to win 2,000 Rand. Remember, you always stand a better chance of being selected if you've SMS'd out to Outsurance and got yourself a quote. So do it now. SMS out to 45142. You could save on your car insurance.
Current events, developing stories,
Tough questions.
your voice making a difference.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa.
7 to 7. On to this now. Prosecution's head, Shamila Batoyi, will retire in January, and that leaves President Cyril Ramaphosa less than 2 months to find a replacement. Now, there's a panel tasked with identifying suitable candidates from which he must choose, and they've whittled down an original list of 32 applicants to 6. And these are the people who are set to have met the minimum requirements for the post. Of course, some eyebrows have been raised when a former occupant of that office, Menzi Simelane, was named among them. To help us understand what's at stake, we've invited really one of the best legal journalists in the country, Karen Morn, who's been looking at these things for a very long time with News 24. Always a pleasure to have you on the show. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Bongani.
All right, so we'll come to Menzi Simelane in a moment, but let's go back perhaps to the questions that were raised at the start of this process about the composition of the panel itself. How have they performed so far?
Well, I think this controversy over the shortlisting that the minister is actually saying was not a shortlisting, but, has been perceived as such, where, there was this thing about they only had 32 nominations or applications for this crucial position, which is really at the helm of prosecuting decisions in this country. And then they said, well, according to when the minister spoke to me, she said, well, we didn't shortlist them. We just said these people meet the minimum requirements. But what is somewhat awkward is that in amongst those minimum requirements is the pivotal requirement of being fit and proper. And I think a lot of people are perceiving that as having been not applied with. And I think notably that panel, while it has people like the Auditor General, Somadoda Fakeni and lawyers on it, doesn't have a single prosecutor. And I think that is something that's going to be raised into the future.
All right, so this is the list of the panel, you mean? Obviously not
Yes,
the
not the
shortlist.
NDPP,
Yes.
no.
All right. I mean, as you say, Menzi Simelane's name will no doubt raise eyebrows. I mean, if it was not rational to appoint him before, why would it be so now?
Well, the issue with Menzi Simelane is really about what South Africans struggle with on a daily basis, and that's a failure in accountability. Because what should have happened with Menzi Simelane, and we now know because the Johannesburg Society of Advocates launched this application for him to be struck from the role, was that in the wake of the Constitutional Court ruling, which said that President Jacob Zuma had irrationally ignored the adverse findings made against Simelane. Of course, you and I will both remember that in that, much publicized inquiry into Vusi Pikoli's fitness to hold office, which of course exposed a very ugly side of what appeared to be intervention by Thabo Mbeki and his government at the time to stop and to halt the prosecution for corruption, ultimately successful by the Scorpions, of then Police Commissioner Jackie Selebi, that it comes out that the leader of the state's case against Pikoli, who is actually found to be fit and proper but dismissed on another basis, is that he is not playing open cards with the commission, that he conceals legal opinions, that he conceals letters which seem to show the minister blatantly interfering, unlawfully so, in the attempt to arrest Jackie Selebi and to charge him. And so Janwala raises all these concerns, and it's a list. I mean, anyone can go onto the website, onto the internet and read it. And the court says, and the SCA says, look, this is completely irrational that you would want to appoint someone to this position but not consider this. Therefore, this appointment is invalidated. Post that, in 2009, someone had laid a complaint against Menzi Simelane as an advocate, but that was only pursued by the JSA, I think, in 2015. In 2017, they make adverse findings and say the panel, there was a 3-people panel. Dali Mpofu was one of them. He said that Menzi Simelane should not be struck from the role, but should rather be suspended for 2 years. But the other panel members said, no, he must be struck from the role. 2017, that report comes out. Simelane then appeals that to the General Counsel of the Bar. And they sit on this appeal for something like 6 years. And I've been trying to understand why that happened. But in the interim, Menzi Simelane, of course, builds up quite a well-known practice as a criminal defense advocate. He's often taking the NPA on in these cases. And then, of course, when this whole nomination process comes out, just a few weeks before the advert is put out, then the JSA finally brings this application to have him struck from the role, and he says, you can't do this, it's unreasonably delayed.
Yeah, I mean, that delay is extraordinary. Let's talk about some of the other candidates, because it's not all about Menzi Simelane, is it? Some of the front runners said to be Advocate Kanyile, an expert in complex financial crimes. She's credited with helping us get off that grey list. There's Andrea Johnson, of course, the investigating director at the moment. She was wobbly, though, in her recent appearance before Parliament. And her predecessor, Hermione Cronje, who was said not to see eye to eye with Batoyi. Those would be some of the front runners on this list.
Well, I mean, the tragedy, of course, Bongani, is it's a very short list. We know when Shamila Batoyi was interviewed, she was up against, I think, 10 other candidates. As was the case in that process, these are all current or former prosecutors. Advocate Kanyile is a former prosecutor herself. She had very senior positions within the prosecuting authority. And, there is this deep sense, when I spoke to the minister, she expressed a lot of frustration. She said that people, when she was putting people would put themselves up for the position or be nominated and then withdraw the nomination or the application, and she would then contact them and say why. And they said to her, because quote unquote, this is a poison chalice. The NPA is really in a dire situation. We all know about the well-publicized, incredibly severe court defeats, particularly in the Omatosa case, which caused so much horror. And it desperately needs strong leadership, particularly at a time where there are renewed attacks, as you rightly point out, on the IDAC, etc. So it's crucial that it gets strong leadership. And the fact that we only have 5 or 6 people, we don't know if Simelane is going to make it through this fit and proper questionnaire that the minister says he has to answer. But the fact that these are the people that are potentially coming into the NPA at a moment where I think, on an arguable basis, it is in crisis, is incredibly should be a cause of concern for all of us who care about functional law enforcement and justice system.
And of course, we're all watching on TV every day, right? The current process is underway investigating alleged criminality in our law enforcement and politics. The public is impatient for trials and for people to wear orange overalls. Karen Morn, appreciate your time. News 24 legal journalist.
702.
Coming up, the big interview.
It's the 1st of December, which is World AIDS Day. Up next, we speak really to the voice of epidemiology in South Africa, Professor Salim Abdul Karim. After this, Eyewitness News brought to you by Khaliq's. Khaliq's, for the businessman who knows what he wants.
This is EWN.
There are concerns about new information in the deadly Jagersfontein dam wall collapse, and Ramaphosa sends a warning to people spreading disinformation about South Africa. Good morning, I'm Sfiso Zulu. The Water and Sanitation Department has allowed the deadly Jagersfontein mine to remain operational despite a scathing report against it. The department released its report into the devastating 2022 dam wall collapse on Friday, which showed that the operations management may have been aware of impending danger. The report also revealed that the mine was constructed without designs from a registered engineer. Khomozo Modise has more.
It's been just over 3 years since the collapse of the Jagersfontein development, which left 2 people dead and another missing and presumed dead. The report has been sent to Cabinet for consideration and to help with the development of regulations for tailings dams, which are not covered under the Mineral and Petroleum Resources Act. Despite the tragedy caused by the operation, Water and Sanitation's Wadi Ramokopa says the department has decided not to shut down the mine.
This is one of the reasons that was given by Deputy Minister Makrobo to say they could also not allow the town to die slow death due to inactivities in any economic operations.
He says they're taking precautions to prevent a recurrence of the incident.
They are now using the historic pit which is in their premises, and it is the pit that was actually developed by DBS when they were still mining for diamonds.
Meanwhile, representatives from the Jagersfontein mine are facing criminal prosecution for the ordeal, with the matter transferred to the Free State High Court for prosecution. Khomozo Modise, Eyewitness News.
The Department of Water and Sanitation says there's progress in addressing historical disparities on the leasing of land in Hartbeespoort in the northwest following a damning report by the South African Human Rights Commission. The Commission released its findings last week, where it ruled that the department has failed to address historical and ongoing gender and racial bias in the allocation of land leases along the Harties Dam. Tensions flared at the tourist attraction town more than a year ago when black owners of the establishments claimed to be treated unfairly by their white counterparts. And among the issues raised included alleged double standards when applying rules in the community, noise coming from some establishments, and the awarding of operating licenses. Water and Sanitation spokesperson Wisani Mawasa says it's untrue that the department has violated the rights of black applicants or engaged in systemic exclusion.
As the department, we are steadfast in our efforts to ensure that leasing of state-owned land around government waterworks is lawful and is in compliance with government policies.
She says a steering committee has been established to address challenges in the area.
The structure and its mandate is aimed at addressing disputes between business community, locals, civil society and government, and managing issues related to access to the use of the state-owned land, promoting inclusive economic growth and addressing racial tensions in the area.
President Cyril Ramaphosa has once again hit out at US President Donald Trump for spreading false claims about land grabs and a white genocide in South Africa. The US, which officially starts its G20 presidency today, boycotted the recent leaders' summit held in Johannesburg on what it says is a principled stance. President Cyril Ramaphosa addressed the country last night and spoke about Trump's no-show at the recent historic event.
It is even more unfortunate that the reasons the United States gave for its non-participation were based on baseless and false allegations that South Africa is perpetrating genocide against Afrikaners and the confiscation of land from white people. This is blatant misinformation about our country.
Ramaphosa says government remains open to diplomatic talks with the White House after Trump announced that South Africa will not be invited to the G20 summit next year.
We must make it clear that South Africa is one of the founding members of the G20, and South Africa is therefore a member of the G20 in its own name and right. We will continue to participate as a full, active and constructive member of the G20.
And U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio says talks with Ukraine over a deal to end the Russia-Ukraine war were productive, but there's more work that needs to be done. The talks held in Florida were attended by a Ukrainian delegation led by National Security Council Secretary Rustem Umerov, which is Ukraine's new chief negotiator. Also at the meeting were President Donald Trump's envoy Steve Witkoff and Trump's son-in-law Jared Kushner. Umerov was brought in to replace the Ukrainian president's top negotiator Andrei Yermak after he quit following an anti-corruption raid on his home. Rubio says Sunday's meeting is the latest step in 2 weeks of intense diplomatic activity.
This is delicate, it's complicated, there are a lot of moving parts, and obviously there's another party involved here that'll have to be a part of the equation, and that'll continue later this week when Mr. Witkoff travels to Moscow, although we've also been in touch in varying degrees with the Russian side.
Gold is trading at $4,245.14 an ounce. The rand is at 17.13 to the dollar, 22.66 to the pound, 19.87 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $63.19 a barrel.
And in the traffic, we've got delays on the N3 South. An accident has been reported. It's right near the Kirulis interchange. Delays from Linksfield Road. There's also an accident seen in Pomona, Kempton Park, along the R21 South. It happened near Atlas Road. Delays coming out of the R23. Please be on the lookout there.
And in your sport, the Formula One season will be decided this weekend in Abu Dhabi after McLaren's pro strategy sees Verstappen win in Qatar. Norris finished fourth. Arsenal came from a goal down to draw with a 10-man Chelsea 1-1. There was wins for Villa, Brighton, United and Liverpool. And the Proteas lose to India by 17 runs in the first ODI.
A partly cloudy day in store for Gauteng with scattered showers and thunder showers expected. Johannesburg is at a low of 13 degrees, peaking at 16. Pretoria, 14 and 26. Vereeniging, 12 and 26 degrees as well. The top story in EWN this hour. The Water and Sanitation Department has allowed the deadly Jagersfontein mine to remain operational despite a scathing report against it.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
And just like that, it's the end of the year. Time to celebrate all the success, toast all the challenges, and reward your loved ones and yourself for a job well done. This Christmas, Khaliks has thoughtful gift ideas at incredible value for money. From polo shirts, beautiful cotton shirts, leather business and travel bags, from Tom Voyager to fragrances, sneakers, and more. Get your Christmas shopping in the bag and make the thought count by counting on Khaliks. For the businessman who knows what he wants.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
9 minutes after 7 o'clock. So much in the news, of course, even as we head towards the festive period. The Water and Sanitation Department allowing the deadly Jagersfontein mine to remain operational despite that scathing report against it. Remember, we told you about that being released on Friday. And it's just now that that management would have been aware of the impending danger. What was done about it? That is the question now at play. The president yesterday addressing the nation, reflecting mostly on an incredible G20 summit hosted for the first time in South Africa on African soil. But also you get the sense from President Cyril Ramaphosa that Pretoria is now beginning to harden its stance towards Washington itself, because you can only explain your position to somebody who doesn't want to hear it so much.
We are aware that the stance taken by the United States administration has been influenced by a sustained campaign of disinformation by groups and individuals within our country, in the United States and elsewhere. These people who are spreading disinformation are endangering and undermining South Africa's national interests, destroying South African jobs, and weakening our country's relations with one of our most important partners. We must remind these people that South Africa is a constitutional democracy with a Bill of Rights that guarantees equality under the law. We have an independent judiciary able to uphold our constitution and defend the rights of all South Africans. We are a country that has a tradition of dialogue, that has an enduring ability to come together to confront the challenges that we face.
Indeed, the president speaking to the nation last night.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
11 after 7, things you need to know at this hour. The former president, Jacob Zuma, heading back to the courts. He's seeking leave to appeal that judgment that ordered him to repay almost 30 million rand in legal costs from his private litigation. You may remember last month, Judge Anthony Miller also added interest and warned that failure to pay could lead to the seizure of his property, including his presidential pension. Zuma's team is arguing that the state initially agreed to fund his legal battles, so he shouldn't have to pay. His appeal temporarily suspends the repayment, but if denied, he will probably go all the way to the Supreme Court of Appeal, to whichever one that will hear that case. Now, looking back on history, Samuel Edward Mkai was born on this day in 1875. He was a celebrated Xhosa poet and writer, best known for adding several verses to Nkosi Sikelel' Africa, that famous Enoch Sontonga hymn. He expanded it to a much longer poem that would later form the foundation of South Africa's national anthem. Mkai was a towering figure in Xhosa literature. And on the international stage, the Russian President Vladimir Putin is visiting India this Thursday and Friday, scheduled to meet the Indian Prime Minister Modi there, with several government and business agreements expected to be signed. And do you know of that person who struggles to apologize? Are you that person? Burna Boy, the West African musician, has been stirring the pot lately. A number of his shows, he's on a tour called No Sign of Weakness. A number of his performances have been cancelled. Many fans and promoters scratching their heads, and those in Houston at least, that have not been cancelled, people are simply not going to. It all stems from an incident a couple of weeks ago where some fan fell asleep during a performance, and he wouldn't continue until this woman and whoever she was with at the concert were kicked out. And there's been enormous backlash against Burna Boy because this woman has gone on to admit mental health struggles, and Burna Boy was called out by no less than Rihanna on his behavior, and he's now finally apologized to the man and woman he kicked out of his show.
To the lady and the gentleman I asked to leave my show, I'm truly sorry. I reacted too quickly and I didn't pause to understand your side. My music is meant to lift people, not embarrass them. To my fans across the world, I hear you, I feel you, and I appreciate you. I'm not perfect, but I'm growing. From my heart, thank you for sticking with me, even when I stumble.
Ticket sales, of course, have plummeted in the aftermath of the reaction, and he doubled down for some time, did Burna Boy. He said people weren't obliged to be his fans. He never forced anyone to be his fans, and if they want to be, they can, and if they don't, they don't. But I think after seeing empty stadiums and performing to empty stadiums, he's had a rethink and he's now apologized.
702. Up next,
The Big Interview.
EWN.
14 after 7, this EWN traffic is brought to you by Outsurance. SMS out 451429 now, and you could save on your car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand. There's a crash in Pomona.
That's correct, Bongani. It's right on the R21 South. It happened near Atlas Road. It's causing heavy traffic volumes coming out of the R23. And if you're traveling towards the city of Tshwane, please be on the lookout for roadworks that are taking place along the R21 North. And they are right near Olifantsfontein Road at this particular moment. It's better to use the N1 North between Olifants and the Braakfontein turnoff than to stay in traffic on the R21. But please be on the lookout there and continue driving with care. We'll have more updates coming up shortly.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
The Outsurance pointsmen can't help you untangle your tree lights, but they can ease traffic congestion so you can get home in time to make it a fun family activity. With Outsurance pointsmen on the roads for the past 20 years, we can all get to where we need to quickly and safely this festive season. OUTsurance really means it when they say you always get something out. In proud partnership with 702, show them some love online using hashtag PointsmanLove. OUTsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP.
Those trusty old shoes, there for your first move out of home. That marathon training that lasted a day, the quick runs to the store, the long nights out. Yeah, they've done the most for you. But with the Street Store, they can do even more for someone else. Visit thestreetstore.org to find out more about donating your pre-loved shoes and clothes to the world's first rent-free pop-up clothing store for the homeless. Donate before December 6, 2025.
So, Temps, what will you say? Is Bongs more of a sports betting man or a casino player?
Doesn't matter what I think. Fact is, whatever he chooses, he's got a chance to scratch and win.
What do you mean?
Betway Scratch is back, bigger than ever, and giving everyone the chance to beg a share of a guaranteed 1.5 million rand in daily prizes, along with 4 brand new cars.
Oh, it's the season of scratching and scoring. Only at betway.co.za.
Betway is licensed by the Mpumalanga Economic Regulator. No persons under the age of 18 are permitted to gamble. NRGP counseling line 0800 006 008. All events are fixed odds betting games.
The crazy store's got deals galore and everything you need. From tinsel presents, wrapping, and a star for your Christmas tree. We've got all sorts of games and sports, many toys to buy. Stationery, arts and crafts, come on and don't be shy. No need to panic shop, we're your one-stop Christmas spot. Your table will be dressed and you will not be stressed. When Christmas Eve is here, you'll want to sing and cheer. I got everything at the crazy store and I can't wait for next year.
Hey, you never know what you might find this Christmas.
You know what success looks like. Now discover why focus is the driving force behind every success story. Catch 702 in conversation with Momentum on The Money Show with Stephen Grootes every Thursday, discussing the science of success. Step into the mindset of top financial achievers and discover how your thinking, behavior, and focus can shape lasting financial success. That's 702 in conversation with Momentum. Thursdays on The Money Show with Stephen Grootes. Momentum, your journey to success on 702. Momentum is an authorized financial services and registered credit provider.
702.
The Big Interview
with Bongani Bingwa.
Today is World AIDS Day, first observed on this day in 1988. Yet we are still dying from the disease. 53,000 of us last year alone. Yes, 53,000. Well, that number, of course, seems high. It is, in fact, significantly down. 20 years ago, the figure would have been closer to 300,000. So, can we still do better? We know massive funding cuts from the US and other partners have had an impact on our fight against AIDS. And is the dream of ending the pandemic by 2030 still possible? That's the question our next guest asked in a powerful Sunday Times piece yesterday. Leading epidemiologist Professor Salim Abdul Karim warns that decades of progress may now be at risk. Prof, it's been a moment. Welcome back to our show. Thank you for your time this morning.
Good morning, Bongani, and good morning to all of the listeners. Great pleasure to be with you.
You've been at the forefront of this battle for decades now, and yet there are many more rivers to cross.
Absolutely. I first heard about HIV just over 40 years ago, shortly after the first cases occurred, and I've been doing research on it now for nearly 40 years. So it's been a long, long road. And if you think about the first 20 years of this pandemic, what we saw is a situation from where we had no cases and no deaths to a situation 20 years later, we had over 300,000 deaths. In fact, at one stage, South Africa probably was even closer to 400,000 deaths a year. But fortunately, the last 20 years, we've seen a drastic reduction. We've come down by about 80%. But it's that last 20% that's going to be our most difficult. This last 53,000 people that are still dying each year in South Africa. And that's the challenge we face.
Yeah. Were we ever going to end AIDS by 2030? And what does that actually mean?
So in 2016, Secretary General Ban Ki-moon called all the countries together in the United Nations in New York to establish what was going to be our global plan, or what is referred to as the political declaration on HIV, which basically mapped out what our goals were. And as part of the Sustainable Development Goals, the year 2030 was set as the target, and the goal is what is referred to as ending AIDS as a public health threat. In practice, that means a 90% reduction in HIV incidence. So for South Africa, we have quite a way still to go to get to that 90% reduction. I would say if you had looked at the data 2 years ago, we were probably close to being on track. Not on track, but close to that. But our big worry is, can we sustain that? And can we still keep our focus so that we can be on target by 2030?
Prof, why is the dream being deferred?
Our challenge now is really twofold. The first is that the amount of political will and attention and commitment that there was to HIV is no longer. Part of that was, COVID-19 took away some of that attention, but also the world is facing so many other problems: climate change, geopolitical conflicts, wars. So our attention is not still focused on HIV in the same way. And the second is that the funding available has now been diminishing since President Trump came to power, because he's pulled back as far as global health commitments are concerned, and the U.S. was the biggest contributor to global health funding for the AIDS fight all over the world.
Well, Prof, apropos all of that funding, you mentioned in your article that it's not just the US that has withdrawn funding, that several European countries, for example, have also pulled back to rather spend on NATO defense. Government has argued they've mostly been able to absorb most of the impact because we pay for our treatment program. But there's so much support services that were funded by these other countries that have now fallen apart. And what has the impact of that been?
I think we've lost a bit of momentum in that regard. We are fortunate that, not like our neighbors, Mozambique and Zambia and so on, we have not depended on the U.S. to pay for our drugs or laboratory tests and so on. So from that point of view, yes, the core elements of our treatment program are mostly intact. What we are seeing is a drop in the inability of our government to fund some of the additional activities and some of the prevention programs, targeted programs, and so on. So that's where we're going to come short. I'm not overly concerned about that, because I believe that, we need to refocus. We can't go back to business as usual because the U.S.'s level of funding was so substantial. We have to re-look at where we are and what we do. And we've got to figure out what are the core elements we really need to keep and focus on doing that and doing that well. So this is a time to reassess, replan, and refocus so that we are looking at getting much more done for much less.
But in terms of those support services, have you seen much of the impact? And is it your sense that the numbers may go up again from 53,000?
I think if we see the numbers going up, it'll be just a minor blip. I don't expect it to be particularly, a large increase, because what happens is that when people get used to a particular kind of service and it's no longer available, they will go and look for an alternative, because people are well aware, and in South Africa it's pretty good in terms of people's commitment to ensuring that they get their treatment. Now, there will be those individuals that won't want to do that, make that extra effort, take a bus and go to a clinic that's further away than the one they were used to going to. But that number, I expect, will be quite small.
How are interventions like lenacapavir going to change the game?
Well, we are very fortunate in that science has always provided us with, the tools and the essential things that we need to be successful in this fight, whether it's antiretroviral treatments, whether it's tests like viral load, and so on. So we've been fortunate. Science has come to the party in that regard. And now science has come together once more to provide us with what is essentially a really powerful tool. The problem with the tool is not that it's not effective, because it's highly effective. In the studies that were done in South Africa, the drug is 100% effective in preventing HIV. The challenge now is to get it to those who most need it. In other words, those individuals that are at highest risk of HIV, we have to find a way to get lenacapavir to them, and that's the big challenge. And I believe, we're a country that can make a plan. We'll find a way, and we've got to achieve it, and we've got to break the back of that problem.
Where are infection rates at the moment? What are the latest figures you've got?
So the rate at which infections are occurring in this country has been steadily going down over the last several years. In fact, comfortably over the last decade, numbers have been going down. But our highest incidence rates remain in young women. Young women between the ages of 15 and 24 continue to bear the brunt of HIV infection. In studies that we just finished, in fact, in the lenacapavir study itself, the incidence rate, now is the number of new infections occurring in that group, was close to about 3% per year. In other words, 3 out of every 100 women, young women in South Africa, in these high-risk populations, are getting infected, and that's really unacceptably high number.
Overcoming disruption, transforming the AIDS response is this year's theme. I suppose my final question would be, what should ordinary folk listening to this interview, what should we be thinking this World AIDS Day?
I think we should be thinking that, we have been fortunate in that we've been through the worst of this pandemic in AIDS, and we are now in a situation where we are doing well. What we have to do is we have to keep our foot on the pedal. This is not a time to give up on the AIDS effort. It's not a time to walk away and focus on other things. We have to keep it in our targets, and we've got to ensure we do what it takes to get us to our 2030 goal of ending AIDS as a public health threat in South Africa.
Appreciate your time as always there. Professor Salim Abdul Karim, the Director of the Center for the AIDS Program Research in South Africa, Caprisa.
EWN Traffic.
28 after 7, the CWN Traffic brought to you by South African Airways. SAA now operates 2 flights a day to Gaborone with morning and afternoon departures. Book now, flysaa.com.
Bongani, we've got delays on the N3 South between Modderfontein Road and the Kilulis interchange, an accident between these 2 points. There's also an accident seen on the R24 East near the N12 merge. Delays coming from the Kilulis interchange. More details coming up. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Experience Johannesburg to Gaborone with South African Airways. Comfort meets convenience. Enjoy the premium service, flexible morning and afternoon departures, and the warm hospitality SAA is known for. For a limited time, return fares start from just 2,700 Rand, all inclusive. Book by 4 December at flysaa.com. South African Airways, bringing you closer. T's and C's apply.
EWN.
29 after 7, power utility Eskom expecting more earnings on the back of higher tariffs, Muteo.
Yeah, Eskom says it expects this year's profit to be quite high after a strong first 6 months helped by higher tariffs and lower finance costs. Eskom made 16 billion Rand of profit after tax last year, its first 4-year profit in 8 years after a steep reduction in the recurring electricity blackouts in the country. The power utility saw profit after tax of 24.3 billion in the first half of this current financial year, which coincided with the country's winter months, which is where Eskom sells most of its power without having to do planned maintenance. The higher revenues also mainly due to the favorable electricity price increases granted by the National Energy Regulator, NERSA. Those amounted to 12.7% this year.
Gosh, remember the times of bailouts in Eskom? That was the story once upon a time. Asian markets opening a little lower today, Muteo. Talk to me about Chinese factory output.
Well, the latest rating dog China General Manufacturing PMI data shows that output fell to 49.9 in November, missing analysts' expectations. A Reuters poll had expected a 50.5 points reading. The privately surveyed reading slowed from 51.2 in September and 50.6 in October. And why we care so much about their factory output? Because, of course, if there is a lot of factory output coming out of China, they demand a lot of our raw materials. So the more they do well economically, then we expect those orders to come in from them as well.
All right, let's talk about rands.
Well, the rand at this hour, 17 Rand 14 cents against the US dollar, slightly weaker at 19 Rand 88 against the euro and 22 Rand 68 cents against the British pound. Price of gold is $4,234 an ounce, or platinum is at $1,675. Brent crude at $63.42 a barrel. More business after 8.
This Eyewitness News is brought to you by Outsurance. SMS out to 45142 now and you could save on your car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand. If ever there was a case of justice delayed. Sfisa Zulu, good morning.
Bongani, good morning. It's a much anticipated judgment that's set to be handed down in the Highgate Massacre inquest in East London today, which could result in prosecution of apartheid-era police. It's been 32 years since the Highgate hotel bar was stormed by unknown men, resulting in the death of 5 people and severe injuries of 7 others. The East London Magistrates Court is expected to hand down judgment in the matter this morning. Khomotso Modise has more.
On the 1st of May 1993, armed intruders entered the Highgate Hotel bar, opening fire on patrons, killing 5 people. The assailants have not been charged despite testimony at the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. To date, no individuals or organization have claimed responsibility for the attack, and no amnesty applications were submitted to the TRC. This is despite the families and victims being convinced that apartheid police were behind the attack. The judgment today will determine if the officers will be prosecuted for the crimes. Khomotso Modise, Eyewitness News.
SARS Commissioner Edward Kisweta says public trust in the tax authority continues to improve after a tough decade of controversies. Kisweta was honored with the Kathy Award at the annual Ahmed Kathrada Foundation fundraising banquet this past weekend. Between 2014 and 2019, SARS suffered major setbacks, including a decline in service, trust and performance. The tax authority was also mired by claims of political interference and allegations of corruption. Kisweta told attendees gathered at the Sandton Convention Centre that protecting the institution's integrity remains crucial.
SARS is a national treasure that we must protect. It seems unusual to talk about it in this way, but SARS is not merely a collector of revenue. It is the guardian of the fiscal foundation of our democracy, and far too often underappreciated.
He says confidence in SARS has improved 48% in 2019 to 75% in the late independent survey.
Let us commit ourselves to lead with humility, serve with compassion, and protect the institutions that hold our democracy, and ensure that SARS remains a national treasure, jealously protected, wisely invested in.
And Deputy President Paul Mashatile says more still needs to be done to address the impact of climate change, especially on women and youth in Africa. Mashatile made the calls during the opening of the 58th Plenary Assembly of the Southern African Development Community's Parliamentary Forum that was held in Durban yesterday. Women and young people in rural parts of the continent are said to be on the front line, enduring climate-related challenges, including medical disruptions, supply chain disruptions, undue gender violence and forced migration, as well as loss of income. Mashatile says it's commendable that regional bloc SADC is already addressing climate change through policy development and capacity building.
Key actions include creating climate change strategy and action plan, mainstreaming climate change into other policies, enhancing climate information services, and focusing on water resources management to build regional resilience.
But he says significant challenges remain, leaving the region vulnerable to climate impacts.
In response to climate change mitigation and adaptation, the SADC parliaments hold a vital mandate and play a multifaceted role in promoting effective and equitable climate action. This is accomplished through their functions related to legislation, oversight, and representation.
A partly cloudy day in store for Gauteng with scattered showers expected. The temperatures are at lows of 12 and 16 degrees, peaking at highs of 26.
And in the traffic, we've got an accident on the N3 South that happened near the Guludi's interchange. Delays coming out of Modderfontein Road. There's also bumper-to-bumper traffic on the N1 North. This is between Beyers Naudé Drive and Winnie Mandela Drive. Peak time delays there, as well as on the N1 South between the Brockfontein interchange and Olifantsfontein Road.
The top story this hour, a much-anticipated judgment is set to be handed down in the Highgate Massacre inquest in East London today.
You could spend 10 minutes waiting for that video to download. Or get a 10-minute quote from Outsurance that could save you thousands on your car insurance. SMS out to 45142. Like 57-year-old Andy, who now pays only 1,083 Rand a month for his 2024 Ford Ranger. With Outsurance Comprehensive, you get 24/7 roadside assistance in case you break down, run out of petrol, lock your keys in the car, and more. Get used to getting more out. SMS out to 45142. After switching, 48-year-old Felicity now pays only 836 Rand a month for her 2020 Hyundai Tucson. Outsurance will either save you money on your car insurance or give you cash. That's right. If Outsurance can't beat what you're currently paying, ask them for 500 Rand. Make that 1,500 Rand if you've been claim-free and with the same insurer for 3 years. Savings or cash, you have nothing to lose. SMS out to 45142. That's out to 45142. Outsurance, licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online. Limits apply.
Some moments only come around once, like the Audi year-end sale. Get the Audi A1 from 6,999 per month with no deposit, a 90-day payment break, so you only start paying next year. Plus, a guaranteed buyback. There's limited time to show up, but unlimited time to stand out in the Audi A1. Visit audi.co.za or your nearest Audi dealer before the 24th of December. T's and C's apply.
It's amazing what help can do. Help can take you from smart money moves to smart gadgets and household must-haves. With an FNB Premier Credit or Fusion card, get up to 40% back in e-bucks on devices and appliances. Open any FNB Premier account today, celebrating 25 years of helping you live the Premier life. FNB, help changes everything. TC's earn rules apply while stocks last. FNB, a division of First Rand Bank Limited, an authorized financial services and credit provider.
At Checkers, we do more so you get extra this Christmas with over 2 billion Rand in festive savings. Like Coca-Cola Original Taste Less Sugar Soft Drink 2 litres, 2 for 44 Rand. And Lancewood Double Cream Yogurt 1 kg, any 2 for 79 Rand. Plus, stand a chance to win your share of 7 million Rand in prizes. Simply buy any 3 qualifying products and swipe your extra savings card to enter. Valid until Sunday at Checkers. T&Cs apply.
Brilliant ideas are born every day across Africa, but to become breakthroughs, well, they need the right time. Wits University is answering that call with the Wits BioHub, Africa's first fully integrated bedside to bench to breakthrough campus. Catch 702 in conversation with Wits University on 702 Drive with John Perlman this Tuesday, the 2nd of December, as we discuss the groundbreaking Wits BioHub with Professor Glenda Gray. You can tune in to learn about this 28,000 square meters of world-class science working to turn discovery into impact for good. Don't miss it on 702.
702.
WhatsApp Bongani on 072
702 1702.
Morning 702. Yabana Bongani, if there is the voice I trust, it's Dr. Karim. Whether I understand or do not understand, if he says this is it, I take it. Thank you, bye.
Morning Bongani. Bongani, I'm living with blindness. Today is the 1st of December. If you go out in the public space, your malls, your workplaces and tertiary institutions, there'll be gazebos all over, where people can test for HIV. But I'm concerned, Bongani, who's visiting disabled people like myself if I want to go and test? Because for me to leave my home, it will cost me. It's either I must look I must organize myself for transport, or maybe look for a friend or somebody who's close to me to take me there. So imagine how many people are missing that opportunity. Tabanye, maybe I'm blind to see. It's been happening. I stand to be corrected. Thank you.
Tabang, you're raising a very important aspect of the fight against HIV and AIDS. There are all these testing centers, but they're assuming at least you can see where they are to be able to find them. But if you are, as you are, visually impaired or with some other disability, how easy is it then to access those? I think that's a very, very important question to raise. Professor Salim Abdul Karim, of course, I said earlier, was the voice or one of the voices of the COVID-19 pandemic, and he remains just measured and all about the data and the science and where this thing is going, and not overreacting and not panicking and not being emotional. He thinks despite the withdrawal of funding from the Americans in several European countries, we will adapt. One of the things we are lucky to do and to have is the fact that our government fully funds the treatment of HIV/AIDS for patients in this country. A lot of the support services, of course, around informing people and making sure they're able to be tested and dealing with some of the questions that even Tabang is now raising, that's where the funding has stopped. But overall, the picture still looks reasonably good.
702.
What's the question?
What's the question is brought to you by Outsurance, a chance for you to win up to 3,000 Rand in cash. So first 1,000 Rand for the answer, then later 2,000 Rand if you can give us the question. SMS out to 45142 now and you could save on your car insurance. If you don't, ask Outsurance for 500 Rand. Today's answer comes from Titus. Titus, please give us today's answer.
Okay, Bongs, today's answer is Burna Boy.
Burna Boy is today's answer. And tell me, Titus, do you have a quote from Outsurance?
Certainly I do. I've got it.
And certainly I've got 1,000 Rand for you then. All thanks to Outsurance and 702. Fantastic stuff. So there you have it. Titus says the answer is Burna Boy. What's the question? Call us now on 011 8830 702 if you know.
EWN Sport.
All right, 18 to 8. Cindy Paluta, let's talk Formula One.
Yep.
Yesterday, Abu Dhabi.
Absolutely exciting stuff. The Drivers' Championship will be decided this Sunday in Abu Dhabi, the last race of the season. Norris, Piastri and Verstappen can all still win it. Last night, Verstappen won in Qatar ahead of Piastri and Sainz, with Norris fourth after McLaren's poor strategy call to not pit under the safety car in the 9th lap cost them. Here's Norris.
Yeah, I mean, the car was good. Oscar finished second and he was very quick, so nothing to complain about. Just strategy as the second car is always just a bit worse, and how do we have it today? So, no, not even that. It wasn't even the fact we're the second car. We shouldn't have done what we did, so simple as that. I feel good. Actually not the best day, but it is what it is, so looking ahead.
Arsenal 5 points clear at the top of the league after a 1-1 draw with a 10-man Chelsea. Casado was sent off before Shalaba put the Blues ahead and Marino levelled. Blues boss Enzo Maresca.
I think 11-11 we were much better than them. We were great chances. This team, they are top in the Premier League, top in the Champions League. They don't concede goal. 11-11, the performance was very, very good. We create chances, we control the game. Then with 10 players, the effort from the players has been outstanding. The spirit was unbelievable.
Aston Villa stay fourth after beating Wolves 1-0. Brighton beat Nottingham 2-0. Man United up to 7th with a 2-1 win over Palace. Liverpool beat a 10-man West Ham 2-0. Isaac with his first goal for the Reds there. One game in the Betway Premiership. Galans and Magesi finished 1-0. As it stands, Pirates are top of the table, 3 points ahead of Sundowns. India went one up, beating the Proteas by 17 runs in the first ODI. Kohli smashing 135 as India posted 349 for 8. In reply, the Proteas fought back from 11 for 3 through Breetska's 72, Janssen 70 from 39 and Bosch's 67, but still fell short. Here's Janssen on Kohli's knock.
He has all bases covered. He plays a short ball well. He drives well, he cuts well, he plays off his pads very well. Bowling against him is obviously not the easiest job in the world, but it's very nice to watch him play. Growing up watching him on TV to where you're actually bowling at him, trying to get him out. It's annoying, but it's fun at the same time, if it makes sense.
Second ODI is Wednesday. In Sevens rugby, the Blitzboks finished fifth in Dubai, now shift their focus to Cape Town this weekend. And the Springboks return home unbeaten from their end-of-year tour. They played Japan, France, Italy, Ireland and Wales. They scored a total 222 points and conceded only 51 in their 5 matches played.
So, Cindy Paluta, I have something for you that I thought you might enjoy.
Go for it.
This is from a former New Zealand rugby star talking to Sens Wellington. It's a show called 7-Eleven. And they've come up with descriptions for the Boks. And they're saying because they're so unstoppable, think of them as creatures from a horror movie. What would this look like? And what would you say? Have a listen. I've saved it. I played it earlier, but I thought I'll play it just for you.
Okay, all right.
They won't quit. They won't die. They are rugby's version of a horror movie, aren't they? They really are. The Springboks. If you don't bury them 10 feet deep, they will come back to haunt you and punish you for your sins. We saw this movie in the quarterfinals and the semi-finals. They are the zombie apocalypse. They've built a catalogue of battling back and slashing their way to a win. They've produced Return of the Living Boks, Night of the Living Dead Boks, Creature of the Bok Lagoon, House on Springbok Hill. I've told you I've spent way too much time thinking about this. Polterbox, The Bok Witch Project, Springbok Chainsaw Massacre, Village of the Dan Boks, Bokaween, Dawn of the Dead Boks. Should I go on? Yes, and I'll whip myself into a frenzy while I do it. Invasion of the Bok Snatchers.
He goes on and on and on and on.
I do think this will be undoubtedly the greatest Springbok team of all time.
Yeah. I mean,
of all time. From where we were at 2018, a year out of the World Cup, with absolutely no hope, and Rassie wasn't even working towards 2019. He was working to 2023. He was appointed a year and a half before the World Cup, and to get them to where they are now, where they currently hold every single trophy available to them, is just a phenomenal space.
Yeah. Look, they've got a great pipeline, which has been fantastic. The real question is, how soon does everybody else catch up?
Well, I have to wait and see. Cindy Paluta, Eyewitness News Sport.
Don't delay the fun. Fly into summer with FlySafair, Africa's most on-time airline, and land right on schedule to start your holiday. With our consistent on-time arrivals, we'll get you to family, friends, and good times even faster. From local hotspots and beyond to Mauritius, Zanzibar, Zim, and Namibia, you have so much choice on where to soak up the sun. Time's ticking. Get to flysafair.co.za now and book those holiday flights fast. FlySafair, for the love of flying.
Hi, this is Carol Shabalala, Hollywood Bet's brand ambassador. It's more fun when it's for fun. Playing responsibly is always a winning strategy. If you or someone you know needs help, call the South African Responsible Gambling toll-free counseling line on 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. Hollywood Bet supports responsible gambling. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop.
Bongani and the family, just a big shout out to Amo. While driving to work, I listened to the show just before 6 o'clock, and Amo was giving a report that there's heavy delays on Abu Bakr. Hey, Amo, did I not Google my way through Protea Glen? I'm almost at work. Thank you, Dole. Thank you for the updated traffic report. This is Sharon from Randfontein. Thank you so much, guys.
EWN Traffic.
That's what we do up here. Is it not, Amo?
Absolutely. You're most
Big smile
welcome.
on your face.
Yeah.
Big smile on
made
your
my
face.
morning, definitely.
Listen, there are a lot of people who decide where they go, which direction they choose, all because of one Amuramila. So bring us up to speed.
Well, Bongs, at this particular moment, we've got that accident on the N3 South that happened near Linksfield Road. Delays from Modderfontein Road, about a 15-minute hold up there. And unfortunately, if you continue making your way towards Edenville, we've got another accident seen on the R24 East. It's right near the N12 merge. It's causing delays from the Kilulis turn off. And then, of course, heading towards the city of Tshwane. Please be on the lookout for roadworks that are taking place on the R21 North, right near Olifantsfontein Road. They're still causing delays. And and there's also slow-moving traffic on the N14 East. This is just as you leave the R55 Centurion towards the Brakfontein turn-off. There's an accident that's causing heavy traffic volumes there. Please be on the lookout and approach with care. Speaking of the city of Tshwane, in Irene, delays along Nelmapius Road and Main Road. This is due to peak time delays as well as faulty traffic lights. I'll have more updates. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app. 702.
What's the question?
For 2,000 Rand in cash, all thanks to Outsurance. Please tell me what's the question. If the answer is Burna Boy, let's go to Mandy in Vosloorus. Mandy, what's the question?
Morning, Bongani. Which Afrobeat artist faced backlash for calling out a fan, which led to 2025 tour dates being cancelled?
Yes, indeed. Hey? And Burna Boy has had some struggles with managing his public relations, and this is going to hurt him for some time. Mandy, congratulations. 2,000 Rand coming your way, all thanks to Outsurance. And 702.
Hey, buddy Bongs. Burna Boy is only apologizing because now what he did and said is affecting his pockets. That's the only reason. Only reason. If it wasn't for that, he was going to continue as normal. Go some Dublin.
Yeah, I said earlier, do you know those people who struggle to apologize? Who just find it so difficult? Shall we give him a last chance?
I put my life into my job and I know I'm in trouble. She manipulate my love. I know holy and I know they get both. Like the Baba Frayo, my ayo, don't cry yo. I need to go and shadow. I need to go and shadow. I need to go and shadow.
You could spend 10 minutes waiting for that file to download. Or get a 10-minute quote from Outsurance that could save you thousands on your car insurance. For his 2024 Ford Ranger, 57-year-old Andy now pays only 1,083 Rand a month. And for her 2020 Hyundai Tucson, 48-year-old Felicity pays just 836 Rand a month. Ready to get more out of your car insurance? SMS out to 45142. That's out to 45142. Outsurance, licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
Unbox up to 30% off this Cyber Monday with At Home. Shop top appliances from brands like Smeg or Xiaomi, Instant Pot, and Krups coffee machines for one day only on Bash. Plus save 25% on all furniture in-store and online. TFG Rewards members only. T's and C's apply. Hurry, it ends today. At Home, imagine more.
You've heard the songs, but until you've seen it live, you haven't experienced the magic of cats. Coming to Monte Casino from 17 January until 22 February, it's the memory shared by millions. Book now with Web Tickets, brought to you by Peter Turin and GWB Entertainment.
Some numbers bring instant stress, like a speeding fine, another petrol price hike, or that one debit order you forgot about, again. But not all numbers bring panic. Some bring calm and actual life-saving support. With 24/7 emergency support and over 300 ambulances, ER24 is there when you need us most. Don't wait for an emergency. See it, say it, save it. 084 124.
702 was in conversation with Momentum on The Money Show with Stephen Frutis, discussing the power of focus and signs of success.
I think it's a test that most people would benefit from because, when I did the test, I kind of knew how, my relationship with money, but also it clearly stated that I wasn't scared of taking risks and making moves in business. But at the same time, I also had a real fear of kind of, I guess, running out of money or not being able to support my family. And that in the back of my head, whenever I do something, I guess the older you get, the less you're inclined to take risks. And I guess at the end of the day, what I learned from the test is, yes, I am a risk taker, but I'm also conservative and it's more calculated risks than just wild risks.
Visit momentum.co.za for more info. Momentum, your journey to success. Momentum is an authorized financial services and registered credit provider. 702.
What's gone viral?
With Kabazela.
Catch up now with the world of viral content. Kabzela.
Good morning to you, Belle.
Gosh, something they hid. Yeah, this was a hectic one to hide, but I'll let you tell the story.
Yeah, so this is a video of a woman who's sitting in a wheelchair and a guy that is pushing her around, and they were dating online and had never met. And then they meet for the first time, and he discovers that she's in a wheelchair. She's handicapped. Now, this video's got a lot of attention, over 8 million views, but it's actually a skit. It's a couple that make these kind of videos, you know, and take kind of real life situations in inverted commas and do those kind of things, parodies, and put them online for people to discuss. But it got people talking because they say it's not the issue of the disability. The issue is the dishonesty. And, you know, keeping things from people when you're dating, especially, you know, in this day and age, Bongles, people meet each other online before they've even met each other in person and could have a relationship like that for some time before there's the physical, connection. So I wanted to ask our 702 family this morning, have you dated somebody and you dated maybe for a couple of weeks, maybe the first 2 months or so, and then you discovered, or they told you something which, you know, maybe could have been discovered at the beginning or disclosed at the beginning, but now you've kind of liked the person, you got feelings for them, and they disclose something which may change the course of the relationship.
And maybe the other question, in addition to that, Kabazela, we've got to ask is, what are those non-negotiable disclosures that have to be made up front in relationships, right? What are those non-negotiable? If you don't tell me this in the beginning, I'm going to be very unhappy should it come up later.
Yeah. And also, I mean, can you use that as an excuse to say, well, look, I didn't trust you enough. I didn't know you well enough to tell you. I didn't feel comfortable enough to tell you. Or is that just not an excuse at all? There, like you say, there are some negotiables that, you know, it's not negotiable. You have to tell from the very beginning.
Yeah, or is it any of your business? I mean, there are some people who will say, no, it's not your business. You know, if I haven't exposed you to any danger, I'm obligated to tell you when I choose to. How does it work? Let's talk.
702. Feedback with Baphelile Sambo.
Baphelile Sambo, you are from the generation that dates online. Are there non-negotiable disclosures for you that you insist you must hear up front?
I think because it's relevant today with World AIDS Day, I think just disclosing your status up front is...
To a potential romantic partner.
Yes, yeah. So I want
There is an argument where people say, hang on, one of the things we've learned about the fight against HIV, if I'm on treatment and we practice, our relationship safely, there isn't an obligation to disclose. How do you deal with that?
No, just as a form of respect. Just let me know so I can decide if I want to be involved in that. You know, I can hear you, CD4 count, all of that, but just
we're practicing things
No,
safely.
no. Yes, but just the courtesy of letting me know.
Isn't the assumption always to be made that until you know otherwise, you assume the person might be?
Yeah, sure.
Because I think sometimes what that does is it places the onus on them as if we don't live in the country that we live in, right? What other feedback do you have?
Bongani, we are getting loads of reaction following our question this morning on favorite games you play with your family and friends. And Mpo on our WhatsApp says the game of categories, I think you spoke about it earlier, is actually called Scategories. It's called Categories. And funny enough, he was playing it with his girlfriend last night. So he's in alignment with the show and everything. He's saying that it means that his life is going according to plan.
Okay.
And
good for him.
Yeah, another 702 lender suggested Spin the Bottle. I'm not sure I'd want to play that with my family. Maybe friends if I have an agenda, but not with family.
Well, I suppose you could, make the challenges or the dares things to be done around the house. You know, wash the dishes. I mean, I don't know. No.
Spin the bottle is
actually,
out.
no.
Spin
Yeah,
the bottle
no.
is completely out. And apropos today being World AIDS Day, apologies, 702 lenders are reminding that it's an important day of reflection and awareness. Many are saying living with HIV is now a manageable lifestyle and people are no longer ashamed to speak openly about it. We had Matidis on our WhatsApp calling all remaining stigmas to be dispelled and also giving a shout out and thanking healthcare workers and community organizations for the work that they continue to do in the fight against HIV and AIDS.
All right. Appreciate all of that feedback, Baphelile Sambo. More of your thoughts on 011 883 0702. We'll certainly take your voice notes on 072 702 1702.
This is EWN.
Government defends continued operations at the Jagersfontein mine, and France denies preventing South African police from investigating Natim Tetwa's death. Good morning, I am Sfiso Zulu. The Water and Sanitation Department has allowed the deadly Jagersfontein mine to remain operational despite a scathing report against it. The department released its report into the devastating 2022 dam wall collapse on Friday, which showed that the operations management may have been aware of impending danger. The report also revealed that the mine was constructed without designs from a registered engineer. Khomotso Modise reports.
It's been just over 3 years since the collapse of the Jagersfontein development, which left 2 people dead and another missing and presumed dead. The report has been sent to Cabinet for consideration and to help with the development of regulations for tailings dams, which are not covered under the Mineral and Petroleum Resources Act. Despite the tragedy caused by the operation, Water and Sanitation's Wadi Ramokopa says the department has decided not to shut down the mine.
This is one of the reasons that was given by Deputy Minister Makrobo to say they could also not allow the town to die slow death due to inactivities in any economic operations.
He says they're taking precautions to prevent a recurrence of the incident.
They are now using the historic pit which is in their premises, and it is the pit that was actually developed by DBS when they were still mining for diamonds.
Meanwhile, representatives from the Jagersfontein mine are facing criminal prosecution for the ordeal, with the matter transferred to the Free State High Court for prosecution. Khomotso Modise, Eyewitness News.
The Department of Water and Sanitation says there's progress in addressing historical disparities on the leasing of land in RTP Sport in the Northwest following a damning report by the South African Human Rights Commission. The Commission released its findings last week, where it ruled that the department has failed to address historical and ongoing gender and racial bias at the allocation of land leases along the Harties Dam. Tensions flared at the tourist attraction town, where it ruled that the department was failed to address historical and ongoing gender and racial bias in the allocation of land leases along the Harties Dam. Tensions flared also at the tourist attraction town more than a year ago, when black owners of the establishments claimed to be treated unfairly by their white counterparts. Among the issues raised included alleged double standards when applying rules in the community, noise coming from some establishments, and the awarding of operating licenses. Water and Sanitation spokesperson Wesani Mabasa says it's untrue that the department has violated the rights of black applicants or engaged in systemic exclusion.
As the department, we are steadfast in our efforts to ensure that leasing of state-owned land around government waterworks is lawful and is in compliance with government policies.
She says a steering committee has since been established to address challenges in the area.
The structure and its mandate is aimed at addressing disputes between business community, locals, civil society and government, and managing issues related to access to the use of the state-owned land, promoting inclusive economic growth and addressing racial tensions in the area.
The French embassy in South Africa has denied claims of obstructing an investigation into the death of Ambassador Natim Tetwa. The Sunday Times reports that a group of South African police officers were prevented from going to Paris and investigating the matter. Tetwa fell to his death from the 22nd floor of a Paris hotel in September, And South African police later announced the deployment of 5 experienced detectives to work with French authorities in investigating the death. But the publication is reporting that the detectives were refused entry. French embassy spokesperson Tristan Rossengol-Retiv has denied reports of a lack of cooperation by French authorities.
The police has acted with cooperation, with diligence, with South African on the matter, and there was never any intention on the French side to obstruct cooperation between French and South African police. Of course not. On the contrary, it is in France's interest to give a new impetus to the bilateral judicial cooperation.
And U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio says talks with Ukraine over a deal to end the Russia-Ukraine war were productive, but there's more work that needs to be done. The talks held in Florida were attended by a Ukrainian delegation led by National Security Council Secretary Rustem Umerov, who is Ukraine's new chief negotiator. Also at the meeting were President Donald Trump's envoy Steve Witkoff and Trump's son-in-law Jared Kushner. Umerov was brought in to replace the Ukrainian president's top negotiator after he quit following an anti-corruption raid on his home. Rubio says Sunday's meeting is the latest step in 2 weeks of intense diplomatic activity.
This is delicate, it's complicated, there are a lot of moving parts, and obviously there's another party involved here that'll have to be a part of the equation, and that'll continue later this week when Mr. Witkoff travels to Moscow, although we've also been in touch in varying degrees with the Russian side.
Gold is trading at $4,230.68 an ounce. The rand is at 17.14 to the dollar, 22.67 to the pound, 19.88 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $63.19 a barrel.
And in the traffic, we've got delays in the city of Tshwane due to an accident right after the Brockfontein interchange. Delays coming out of the R55 while traveling on the N1 North. We've got delays, peak time pressure between Beyers-Naudé Drive and Winnie Mandela Drive.
And in your sport, Bafana coach Hugo Broos names his final squad for AFCON at noon today. Arsenal fought for a 1-0 draw over a 10-man Chelsea. There's a 3-way battle for the Formula One Drivers' Championship to be decided in the final race this weekend. And India beat the Proteas by 17 runs in the first ODI.
A partly cloudy day in store for Gauteng with scattered showers and thunder showers expected. The temperatures will peak at highs between 16 and 26 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour. The Water and Sanitation Department has allowed the deadly Jagersfontein mine to remain operational despite a scathing report against it.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Kabazela has a really fascinating question. What are the non-negotiable disclosures at the start of a relationship? It's World AIDS Day. One of them, of course, has always been about declaring a status. But is that sometimes an excuse for us not to practice safely, not to be in a relationship and practice safely because we assume there's an onus to be told? Isn't part of the thinking that you will assume until you've got confirmation otherwise and take all the necessary precautions? It stems from a video. It's a parody. But one of the things this couple set up, they set up a scenario where the guy arrives on a date having met a woman online only to find out she's in a wheelchair. He wasn't told that. Would that be a walk away moment? Are there things you absolutely have to say to someone up front? Mental health. But what does that mean? If a person is looking cute, do you overlook that and say, I win, now no mental health win?
No. I think the telling is all about empowering the person you're with, right? Because the last thing you want is for you to go to a social setting and you find out from someone else this big thing that your partner hasn't told you. Because if you empower your partner, once somebody else says something, you more likely to be on their side and defend them than be shocked standing there.
So you're looking at it as glass half full, then, Matteo, right? If we look at it as glass half empty, if you then find this information that you feel you should have been told, do you then walk away, regardless of how the connection is coming along nicely? Do you feel that the trust has been broken to some degree? And would the person then have the right to say, that's exactly why I didn't tell you, because I thought you might react in this way? Amo?
I do think it's important to address, even if you found out on your own, it is important to address, or hey, actually I found out that you, or this is what I know, I've been told about you. You need to address it before you move ahead. But I don't think you can just make that, because, connection takes a long time to build.
Yeah.
You won't just disconnect from the person just on that particular day,
So are they being unfair then to only wait until a connection has been established where you almost can't pull out?
Also, sometimes you don't trust people that you just met about some of the things about yourself, right? Some truth. Even mental health would be a very big one that people don't immediately disclose, that I battle with mental health problems, right? So you wouldn't just at the first date or address or talk about that. But once you've now become comfortable with somebody, once you've spoken about certain things and there's a connection, then you feel more comfortable and in a safe space to talk about these issues. Then you say, oh, actually, I do have this. What I do think people should disclose, though, is children. If you have a child.
Right, in the village.
Yeah.
Hey, back home in the village. Your baby sister isn't your baby sister after all.
Yeah, this is your child.
Your nephew isn't your nephew after all. Let's talk 011 883 0702. We'll take your calls, your WhatsApp voice notes. What for you are those non-negotiable disclosures that have to be shared up front? And have you been in a situation where there was information you were not told, and how much did it impact your relationship? My difficulty with finding out from other people is that the journalist in me wants independent sources and evidence. So I'll sit there watching, going,
Good morning, Bongos and the team. For me, non-negotiables when it comes to disclosure in relationships, disabilities is the obvious one, but this being World AIDS Day, someone's HIV status, it's one of those things that I need to know up front. If you do know your HIV status and what it is, especially if you are HIV positive, you really need to come forward with that information. And then another one, any mental health issues, that's a non-negotiable for me.
Good morning, Bongani and Kabazela. Mine is very, very petty, and I know this is a serious question. Mine is petty, but I was in an online relationship with this said person for about 2.5 months, and really I don't know how it was supposed to come up, but when we met, I found out he had failed to mention that he has dreadlocks, long dreadlocks. I was taken aback, and it didn't even last 2 weeks after that, because no long hair, guys. Please mention it. Like I said, very petty, but I was proper hurt, because I was starting to like him, but it went away very fast.
Interesting topic. I personally am of the thought that it's none of anybody's business whether or not a person is disabled or they needed to disclose they're on a wheelchair or living with any form of disability or comorbidity. I'm a double amputee, and it's not something I just disclose I don't know you on a first date. We're still getting to know each other. Why is my disability that important? Does it determine the kind of heart I have, the character I have? No, it doesn't. I think it's none of anybody's business. People should be disclosing stupidity instead, but we don't go around doing that, do we? Thanks, Chuso, Centurion.
None of your business. How do you deal with it? I mean, there are lots of people who are on the none of your business side of the argument that I will tell you what I'm comfortable to tell you when I'm comfortable to tell you. Decide whether you and I have a connection on the basis of who we are. Period. Full stop. Nothing more. I'm not obliged to tell you what my highest level of qualifications might be. Yes, we have those conversations at some point, but is it an upfront disclosure?
Are those things not part of who you are?
All right, so here's a part of who you are, Mateo. Your income.
Sure.
That has a very big part of how your life unfolds.
Sure.
Is that something we talk about upfront?
No, I would let you know. If you're willing to walk away, then I've given you the choice.
I don't think you'd be that happy. Really? You would, on the first date, if someone says, how much do you earn?
It would tell me a lot about you, but I'd still tell you.
I'd say none of your business. You?
Because what does it change?
Some things are none of your business.
Good morning, Bongles and the team. One of my most important disclosures from my new partner is her relationship with the baby daddies. How close are they? How often do they communicate, and what do they talk about? Is it only kids or anything else? So if you can just disclose that and it's something that I'm comfortable with, we are good to go. But if not,
Hey, whoa! So he wants to know how close his potential partner might be to their baby daddy. What do they talk about? Is it only about the kids?
Guy. I think it's important because also you need to establish, whether the relationship is good or not, right? Because if the relationship is not good between the mother and the father, or, then you will struggle. Because
he seems to be implying, and maybe I misunderstood him,
Mm-hmm.
He seems to be implying that the better the relationship with the baby daddy might be, in other words, if they talk about other things and not just the kids, if there's still some kind of friendship there, then he's not sure that that's what he wants to be a part of, because he thinks clearly the baby daddy is still in this person's life.
And they might reconnect again and form
that connection isn't over.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I was responding to. I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
That obviously how you and the people who've gone before relate to each other will be a very good predictor of what will happen to my future. Do you know what I mean? I get that bit, but he seems to be suggesting, no, just talk about the kids. What are your thoughts on that, Mateo?
That is a very tricky space to be in because, like I was saying, you want to find out how good the relationship is because it's going to be your drama as well if you are in that relationship. If they get on well, you also don't want to be the one that causes problems for them. So you kind of place yourself in whatever's going on because the kids are very important in that relationship.
So you just want to know, but it's not a deal breaker.
No, it's not a deal breaker.
Not a deal breaker. All right.
Good morning, Bongles and team. I don't think a disability is an issue. I mean, the person didn't cause it. But if you're HIV, I need to know whether you caused it or somebody gave it to you. I need to know upfront. If you have a kid at home, this is so sad. And if you have other kids, I need to know that you're maintaining them. I don't trust a man that does not maintain his children. That's it. I don't. That's a no. In fact, I don't think much of you. I don't think much of you if you don't maintain your kids. Your financial status, your criminal record. Mental health. Mental health is a serious thing. I need to know so that I know if it's something I can handle or not.
Good morning, Bongani and team. Daniel Nixon here from Tukomsres. Bongani, when it comes to relationships and disclosures, for me, the first thing is I should tell you about my kids and you tell me about your kids because of that's going to be part of our lives as well. Thank you. Daniel Nixon here from Tukomsres. Never hide the kids.
Absolutely fascinated that we come from a time where particularly younger women or at least women who'd had children quite young, felt an enormous pressure to acknowledge them in future relationships. It was not an acceptable thing by society. I know people who have grown up not knowing that who they thought was an aunt or a big sister was in fact their parent. I wonder how much that kind of thing still happens in 2025.
Let's talk.
We're listening.
Good morning, Talk Radio 702 family. I think it's a sad state of affairs there by Tolima Doncella's scam. But I just wanted to touch base on this issue of wills. I think people are not keen to disclose who is going to get what in terms of inheritance when they pass away because of this organized hits that are put on people. You know, I've seen a certain trend in Soshanguve at some point where children are killing their parents so that they inherit the houses that they were told that they will get in the event that they pass away. So I think it's shocking that people are being killed, you know, if they know that you're going to have some sort of money or inheritance if you're part of the will. So people decide to just remain mum until they pass away, you know, unlike telling someone who is later going to plan your death so that they can garner what you would have told them that they are part of or that they will get in the event that you die.
Yeah, I mean, I'm careful about taking one very extreme example and making it something that is fairly common. I don't know many kids who would kill their parents just to get the inheritance a little sooner, an inheritance they know is coming to them anyway. I think if anything, the reverse is more likely, that you are grateful for these parents and you want to keep them around for as long as possible. I wouldn't say, even if that example is true, I don't think it's quite the standard. I think it's far more responsible to let people know exactly what you want your wishes to be. There's less of a drama around it when you go. And one of the things that a conversation like that also opens up is some people may not want the things you think you want to give them. They may not want to deal with the property. They may not want to pay all of, you know, the taxes that are related to whatever it is you might give them. They may want to dispose of that asset in a creative way in terms of their own estate planning and financial planning. So some of those conversations are important up front for exactly that kind of reason. So it's not everybody who's sitting there, you know, salivating at the chance to get a hold of your goods to the degree that they might kill you as their parent. I'm not sure.
EWN Traffic.
22 after 8. Let's catch up with the roads now. Amo, delays on the Mike 1 North.
That's correct, Bongani. We've actually got an accident reported right near Greyston Drive. It is causing delays coming out of the Killarney Bends. Earlier on, there was another accident near Glenhove Road. It's been cleared now, but traffic remains heavily backed up along this route. And traveling on the southerly direction of this route, do expect heavier traffic volumes towards the Killarney Bends as a result. While on the N3 South in the Bedford View area, we still have got delays between Mudfontein Road and the Kalulis Interchange. An earlier accident, and now I'm seeing roadworks taking place along this route, so please be on the lookout there. There's also queuing traffic on the N1 North between Bears Nodia Drive and Winnie Mandela Drive. Peak time delays there. More updates coming up. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
702.
The Worldview.
All right, let's catch up with news from elsewhere in the world. Vicky Turner in for Adam Gilchrist. Vicky, a very good morning to you. Let's talk about this couple. They made a killing at a casino down under, but were they cheating?
I mean, isn't this incredible? It's a Kazakh couple who came over from Kazakhstan literally a couple of weeks before they committed these crimes, allegedly. Husband and wife team. They used a hidden camera and earpieces to win nearly 1.2 million Australian dollars. It's a huge amount of money. Now, casino staff at this casino just sort of on the south of Sydney noticed that the woman was wearing a discreet camera on her Mickey Mouse t-shirt. They've got a picture of it, and just under Pluto's foot you can see a little slit. They've made a cut, which was obviously where they hid this camera. Police found also magnetized probes and a phone mirror attachment allegedly used to rig games. I'm not sure exactly how. I don't know the technical details of how you do that. They've been charged with dishonestly obtaining a financial advantage. They are remaining in custody at the moment. Now, bear in mind, they only arrived in Sydney in October. They applied for a casino membership straight away, and then over several weeks, they visited this same casino. And like I said, winning 1.2 million US dollars. Staff at the casino became slightly suspicious, that you don't have many people who come in and win as much as that. And they found that their devices were linked to their phones, allowing them to view table images. They also had hidden earpieces which relayed instructions on when to bet. I know it's the kind of help that I'd need. Now, they've both appeared in court on Friday. They were denied bail, unsurprisingly. He's back in court in December. She goes back into court in February, but it does look like both of them, after their case, will be jailed.
They're going to spend Christmas behind bars, that is for sure. Possibly their only mistake was to target a single casino. Maybe it might not have been that easy to catch them. I'm not giving anyone ideas, believe me. On a far more sad story, Vicky, hundreds missing in these deadly Indonesian floods.
This is incredible, isn't it? 900 people we know died in torrential storms that swept through Thailand, Malaysia, Philippines, Sri Lanka. 900 people across the region there this month. Indonesia is the focus at the moment. Rescuers are searching for at least 400 missing people. Many have been feared buried under these landslides. Now, flooding struck nearly a week ago, leaving 440 people dead on Sumatra, an island just off Indonesia. We know now that aid is being delivered by air and sea, but some villages remain cut off. Some of the areas that it's affecting are so remote. Malaysia has sent medical supplies. Apart from Malaysia, not much is coming. We do know that the tech billionaire Elon Musk has pledged free Starlink services to support emergency communications. When you mention Elon Musk's name, everything sounds slightly ridiculous, but obviously that could be vital in helping people to get aid and also to know where the right aid has to go to the right people. But yes, still hundreds missing. It's a really sad situation.
Talking of things going missing, Vicky, authorities left shell-shocked by the theft of what?
Isn't that escargot? Snails to you and me. Have you had snails ever? Have you tried escargot?
Not quite something as fancy as what you are calling it, but yes, I have tried snails before and they were quite delish.
You see, people say that. I'm not a fan of them. Obviously, escargot are a French delicacy. They cook them in garlic and butter and wine, and they are especially popular in France at Christmas and New Year. But thieves have stolen 90,000 euros worth of snails from a farm in northern France, and it's a good farm. It's not just your bog standard farm. It actually supplies Michelin star chefs. Now, this farm lost its entire stock overnight of both fresh and frozen snails. We know that thieves cut a border fence and entered the farm buildings. It means that they can't replenish their stock in time for Christmas, which is sad for them. I'm hoping they have insurance. Police say the thieves made a clean getaway, though at a snail's pace.
Very good, Vicky. Very sharp this Monday morning. I wonder where they will sell them, because one would imagine if somebody suddenly has, an oversupply of these things, surely the dots will connect. Love it. This morning's Worldview.
EWN Business.
What slithery things do you want to talk about, Muteo, at this hour? 27 minutes after 8 o'clock. Let's talk our power utility, Eskom, expecting more earnings at the back of higher tariffs.
Yeah, we have to pay for those higher profits. Eskom says
you have to go.
Stop it, Bongani.
He did. He said.
Eskom says it expects this year's profit to remain high after a strong first 6 months, held by higher tariffs and lower finance costs. Eskom made 16 billion rand of profit after tax last year, its first full-year profit in 8 years after a steep reduction in load shedding. The power utility made profit after tax of 24.3 billion in the current financial year, which coincided with the winter months here in the country when Eskom sells more power and does less plant maintenance. Revenue for the year ending in September climbed to 191 billion rand. The higher revenues are mainly due to the favorable electricity price increases granted by the National energy regulator NERSA, which amounted to about 12.7% this year. NERSA not only granted Eskom far above inflation price hikes for 2026 and 2027, but also allowed the utility to recover a further 54 billion rand. So those increases for 2026 and 2027 expected to be 9% respectively. So still quite high for SA consumers.
All right, talk to me about the business or economic week ahead.
A very long one with a lot of data to cover. ABSA's Purchasing Managers Index will drop today, while we'll have vehicle sales numbers from NAMSA. On Tuesday, focus will turn to the third quarter GDP data for South Africa. Midweek, RMB and BR Business Confidence Index numbers will come out. On Thursday, the Reserve Bank will publish third quarter current account figures, while on Friday, Moody's, the latest ratings agency to assess South Africa's sovereign credit status. Moody's presently rates the country at Ba2, 2 notches below investment grade. So we'll see if that goes a notch higher.
All right, the Rand, when are we breaking through? 17.
Hopefully today. We're at 17.14 at the moment, and I'm hoping we'll break that 17 Rand mark at 19 Rand 88 against the euro and at 22 Rand 65 cents against the British pound. Price of gold at $4,232 an ounce, or platinum is at $1,693. Brent crude at $63.64 a barrel. More business tomorrow morning, but Stephen Crotus with more this afternoon.
8:30 exactly, your time check. Up next, we tell you about this year's Indigenous Language Imbizo, which looks at how Indigenous language expression is evolving. We're talking apps, podcast, digital storytelling. Have I got you hooked? Stay listening. In the meantime, let's go straight to Sfiso Zulu at the news desk. Good morning again, Sfiso Zulu.
Thanks, Bongani. Good morning. The ANC Women's League has thrown its weight behind President Cyril Ramaphosa amid repeated claims of an alleged plot to recall him from office. Attempts to oust Ramaphosa have allegedly gained traction in the party as some disgruntled party members rally for his removal. While Ramaphosa is said to have challenged his critics at an ANC gathering last month, the Women's League says there are murmurs that some ANC-NEC members are likely to regroup this week for an attempt to remove him. Nogukayam Dambo has the details.
The ANC Women's League says it's alarming that some within the party have disregarded established protocols to raise any discontent arising from the leadership of President Cyril Ramaphosa. Secretary General of the ANC Women's League, Nokuthula Nqaba, says claims of Ramaphosa's underperformance in office are untrue, citing what the organisation believes are successes in governance. This includes the fight against corruption, classifying gender-based violence and femicide as a national crisis, and successfully chairing the G20 presidency. Nqaba says the NEC meeting set for this week cannot remove a sitting president of the ANC, but only the National General Council and an elective national conference can make that determination. The party's NGC takes place in a week's time, although the ANC's engine room has already said the NGC won't be used for factional battles. Nogukanyam Dambo, Eyewitness News.
A much-anticipated judgment is set to be handed down in the Highgate Massacre inquest in East London today, which could result in the prosecution of apartheid-era police. It's been 32 years since the Highgate Hotel bar was stormed by unknown men, resulting in the death of 5 people and severe injuries on 7 others. The East London Magistrates Court is expected to hand down judgment in the matter this morning. Khomosomodise reports.
On the 1st of May 1993, armed intruders entered the Highgate Hotel bar, opening fire on patrons, killing 5 people. The assailants have not been charged despite testimony at the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. To date, no individuals or organization have claimed responsibility for the attack, and no amnesty applications were submitted to the TRC. This is despite the families and victims being convinced that apartheid police were behind the attack. The judgment today will determine if the officers will be prosecuted for the crimes. Khomosomodise, Eyewitness News.
The Transport Department has launched a new strategy for road users this festive season. This includes the deployment of 800 national traffic police in high-risk provinces such as Gauteng, Limpopo, KwaZulu-Natal and the Eastern Cape. Minister Barbara Creasy says at least 9,400 road deaths have already been reported so far this year, which is 700 fewer than the same period last year. Creasy was speaking at a launch of the festive season campaign on the N1 highway in Kroonstad.
We are going to step up public awareness campaigns through multimedia and community channels. The education and awareness campaigns will be pursued to ensure that road safety messages reach all communities and various road users.
And Sri Lanka and Indonesia have deployed military personnel to help victims of devastating flooding that has killed nearly 1,000 people across 4 countries in Asia in recent days. Separate weather systems brought torrential, extended rainfall to the entire island of Sri Lanka and large parts of Indonesia's Sumatra, southern Thailand and northern Malaysia last week. Warships carrying aid have been sent to some of the worst hit areas where many roads have been blocked. A partly cloudy day in store for Gauteng with scattered showers expected. The temperatures are at lows of 12 and 16 degrees, peaking at highs of 26 degrees.
And in the traffic, we've got an accident on the M1 North. It's right near Grayston Drive. Delays from the Killarney Bains. There's also queuing traffic on the N3 South between Marafontein Road and the Kirulis interchange.
The top story this hour, the ANC Women's League has thrown its weight behind President Cyril Ramaphosa amid repeated claims of an alleged plot to remove him from office.
The Maibuye e-Africa concert, the rebirth of Ubuntu, returns for one unforgettable night only. Simpiwe Dana, Judith Sepuma, Malay, Langa Mavuso, Elvis Blue and Sipho Hotsticks Mabuse, backed by a 20-piece orchestra conducted by Grammy Award winner Joe Arthur, curated and produced by the visionary Billy Monama, Opera House State Theatre, Pretoria. Saturday, 6 December 2025 at 7:30 p.m. Tickets from 350 to 1,000 Rand at Web Tickets. Proudly supported by the Department of Sports, Arts and Culture, Brand South Africa, Castle Milk Stout, and 702.
Are you looking for the best spectacle and sunglass deal? With Specsavers buy one, get one offer, you get great value for money. Get a free pair of branded single vision prescription sunglasses up to 3,300 Rand when you purchase a comprehensive eye examination and spectacle frames with lenses on your first pair. The best part? Choose from top brands like Police, Hugo, Under Armour, Tommy Hilfiger, Red Bull Specs, and more. Affordable eye care? Specsavers. T's and C's apply.
You could spend 10 minutes waiting for that file to download. Or get a 10-minute quote from Outsurance that could save you thousands on your car insurance. For his 2024 Ford Ranger, 57-year-old Andy now pays only 1,083 Rand a month. And for her 2020 Hyundai Tucson, 48-year-old Felicity pays just 836 Rand a month. Ready to get more out of your car insurance? SMS out to 45142. That's out to 45142. Outsurance, licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
702.
WhatsApp Bongani on 072
702 1702.
Good morning, Bongani and 702 listeners. For me, I wish that if people get onto relationship, they could disclose that, you know what, I am not looking for a steady relationship. I am just looking for someone to wind time with. So that somebody gets into the relationship knowing very well that this is not for keeps, this is just to wind time. Thank you.
Bongs, John here from Randburg. For me, I have a rule that I will take 2 years to get to know you. And anything up to that point is a blank slate. It's new, it's fresh. And then there's a honeymoon period where you don't really see the faults, and you know the person doesn't really let you in on everything. So 2 years, and then after 2 years it must be too exhausting to keep a mask up for that long, and then you can decide, okay, yeah, I can be with this person or I can't be with this person.
Good morning, Bongani. This is very interesting. I do understand a lot of views, and most cases the negative views or the no views come from those who had to tell. Those who want to be told actually want to be told, or the people on the receiving end of whatever needs to be told actually want to be told early. I don't think it applies to say it's none of your business. Of course, it is my business to know that you are a double amputee if I am going to be with you. Isn't that the reason that we know each other, is the fact that we want to be together, or maybe we want to have a relationship? I want to know that stuff. Of course, it is my business. You can't say it's none of your business. Yes, there are things that are not your business. But remember, you are trying to have a relationship here. If you're trying to have a relationship, it is your business to know. Kaza from Midrand.
We're talking about what are those non-negotiable disclosures, particularly in new relationships. This comes from Kabazela's What's Gone Viral. So a couple have got a parody account in which she pretends she's disabled, and he finds out on their first date that in fact she's in a wheelchair. Can it be argued that you will know what I choose to tell you? And what are those things that you want to know up front? 2 years, I think, is quite a bit of time to give someone in the whole I'm getting to know you. That's my personal opinion. Another voice note suggesting, are we serious or not? If you're looking to just hit and run, let me know so that I know we're just winding time. We're just fooling around. This is not meant to be serious. A number of voice notes coming through and messages wanting to know about children. Do you have hidden children? I can't imagine what an awful burden that would be, hiding your own children.
EWN Sport.
Talking of disclosures, Cindy Paluta.
Yebo.
We're going to find out from the Bafana coach one or two things.
We are today at midday. He's going to name his final squad for AFCON. So their first game is the 22nd of December. I can't believe we're in December already. They're playing against Angola. Then they play Egypt on the 26th and then Zimbabwe. I think it's the 29th, but all those 3 games before New Year's. Last night in the Premier League, Arsenal coming from a goal down to draw with a 10-man Chelsea 1-0. Casida was sent off before Shalaba scored for the Blues and Marino equalised. Aston Villa beat Wolves 1-0 to stay 4th. Brighton's up to 5th after a 2-0 win over Nottingham. Man United beat Crystal Palace 2-1. Liverpool beat a 10-man West Ham 2-0. Isak with his first goal for the Reds. Reds boss Arne Slot.
In terms of results, is of course very good, but there were also a few things similar than other games of ours and a few things that were different. So the things that were similar were that, again, we couldn't score our first chances. The good thing was that today, for the first time in many games, the first chance of the opponent didn't go in as well. The best thing was that was their only chance. It's quite a difference if you go 1-0 down after 5 minutes and you have to chase the game.
In the Confed Cup yesterday as well, Stellenbosch finishing 1-0 with Singida Black Stars. Formula One Drivers' Championship will be decided this Sunday in Abu Dhabi, the last race this season. Norris, Piastri and Verstappen can all still win it. Last night, Verstappen won in Qatar ahead of Piastri and Sainz, with Norris 4th after McLaren's strategy call not to pit under the safety car in lap 9. Here's Verstappen.
We did the right call there, of course, to box. So I was very happy with that. And then I knew, of course, that to the end we just had to do our best possible stint. So after the safety car, of course, they went flat out and I had to manage my tires a bit. But I think overall, over the whole race, we were not too bad in pace. I mean, we didn't have the pace of McLaren, but of course, when you make that call, you already have quite a big gap with the pit stop, almost like a free pit stop.
India beat the Proteas by 17 runs in the first ODI. India posted 349 for 8. Kohli smashed 135. In reply, the Proteas openers went for ducks, and the fight back came from Breatsika 72, Janssen 70 from 39. Bosch made 67. Still wasn't enough. Second ODI is Wednesday. Warriors are T20 Challenge champions for the first time in 15 years. They beat Boland on a super over. And in Sevens Rugby, the series is in Cape Town this weekend. Yesterday, the Blitzboks beating Spain 21-12 to finish 5th in Dubai. Cindy Paluta, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
17 minutes before 9 o'clock, our final update for traffic this morning. Amo?
Well, Bongani, there's queuing traffic on the M1 North between the Kilani Bends and Greyston Drive. There's also queuing traffic on the southerly direction of this route. This is between Marlborough Drive and the Kilani Bends. While traveling on the N3 North, bumper-to-bumper traffic. In fact, more than a 30-minute hold-up between the Yellands Interchange and Motorfontein Road. There's also queuing traffic in Edenville on the R24 East, right near the N12 merge. An accident reported there. Delays coming out of the Kilulis Interchange. As a result, traffic is backed up on the N12 as well as the R24 West between Edenville Road and the Kilulis Interchange. So please be on the lookout there and continue driving with care. More updates at the top of the hour. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Your uncle says buy the other brand.
he also still uses a Hotmail address. You do you. You do Mini, the Mini Countryman. Available from 9,899 Rand per month with Mini Select Finance. Visit mini.co.za to book your test drive. Select offer only available from Mini Financial Services, a division of BMW Financial Services South Africa Pty Limited, an authorized financial services and registered credit provider. Offer exclusively applies to the Mini Countryman. Initiation and service fee apply. Offer linked to the current prime rate, calculated on a 10% deposit, 48 monthly installments, final GFV payment, and 80,000 kilometer contract limit. Changes to the deal and optional extras will impact finance offer. Offer valid until 31 December, subject to stock availability. T's and C's apply.
Hey guys, this is Robert Marawa, Hollywood Bet's brand ambassador. Playing responsibly is part of the winning strategy. Make smart choices and continue to score. If you or someone that you know needs help, call the South African Responsible Gambling Toll-Free Counseling Line on 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. Hollywood Bet supports responsible gambling. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop.
Coming up
On the Clement Manyatela Show
on 702.
It's 8:45, and of course, between 9 and 12 is the Clement Manyatela Show. Clement, a very good morning to you. Hello.
Good
Hello,
morning.
December.
Hey, good December, boss.
Don't you have a feeling? I'm going to get into trouble for this. It felt like to me after the G20.
Yeah.
You know, the president was on TV last night.
Going to pick up?
Kind of congratulating himself. He says, yeah, Valani country.
Yeah, I think you're right, actually. That was the official close the
G20
country
is done.
day.
You know, we've done the thing that we're all, the
Yeah.
wedding is over.
Why are we still here? So,
what's on the show?
We are still here, and we still have so many conversations to have. So today, on the 702 open line, we'll reflect on what President Cyril Ramaphosa said yesterday around the people spreading false information. I don't know what we can do about that. There's not much you can do. It's not like you can go lay a criminal charge against these groups. They've got every right to talk about their so-called lived experience, as untrue as that may be. So what could be the other approach? So that's the chat we're going to have on the open line. We'll talk about the MK party and what's happened with Duduzile Zuma, who's resigning voluntarily. But they're telling us it's not an MK party issue, it's a Duduzile issue. But when you look at the letter the president sent of the MK party to the Russian government, he's sending it as a president of the MK party with the letterhead, I think, of the MK. So that as well will also reflect on the Grand Prix in Qatar yesterday.
Wasn't this meant to be Hamilton's year?
Well,
what's happened to all of that?
Exactly.
And look at how well McLaren is doing.
Yes. But now, Max Verstappen, out of nowhere, joins the championship, because we thought it was going to be between Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri. But Max moved from starting at P3 yesterday and finished number 1. And that is just incredible. So now he's very much a strong contender. We didn't see that coming. So Abu Dhabi this coming Sunday is going to be so fascinating. If anybody's going there and can put me in their bag, please. Just put me in there. So that's what we're going to do on as well. And then at 10 o'clock, we're going to talk about South Africans being trafficked to Russia and end up fighting for Ukraine. There's a trend we're seeing. We've got a defense analyst who will talk to us about that. 10:30, we continue with our series looking at South African wars. Today, we are speaking about the Ndwandwe Zulu wars and what those were about. And then we wrap up the show at 11 o'clock with our Family Matters feature. Today, we're talking about family secrets and how they can drive families apart.
Family secrets.
Yeah.
Don't get me going. Clement Manyatela between 9 and 12.
Tired of long queues and waiting times at labor centers? The Unemployment Insurance Fund, UIF, has made things easier for you. Now you can access UIF services anytime, anywhere through the UIF online services platform. Submit and track your claims outcome, upload supporting documents, submit a payment request, check payment status, or update your personal details, all from the comfort of your home or office. It's fast, simple, and user-friendly. All you need is an internet connection. So why wait? Visit uifonline.labor.gov.za/UIF online today and experience convenient, efficient service at your fingertips. UIF, working for you.
Business Outsurance are experts in business insurance for butcheries, restaurants, beauty salons, and more. Here's Gert.
I definitely have peace of mind that Business Outsurance is protecting our business.
I do think Business Outsurance are the best insurance company out there, and they gave us the best quotes.
Switch to Business Outsurance and you could get a massive 20% discount on your business insurance premium. Visit outsurance.co.za. Switch and save today. Licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
All right, let's talk about what's happening at the UJ Arts Centre tomorrow. Future Tongues, Living Languages. That's the theme for this year's Indigenous Language Imbizo, which looks at how Indigenous expression can evolve. The organizers say so much can be explored, from AI language tools to literacy apps for children, to podcasts, to digital storytelling. And this is all what we can put in our box to protect culture as we embrace new technologies and move forward. I'm really curious about this. The general manager of Ipenduring Awards and the co-creator of Indigenous Language Imbizo is Eben Kien, who joins us now on the line. Eben, a very good morning to you and thank you for your time.
Good morning, Bongani.
So just perhaps let's start with explaining the whole concept of Indigenous Language Imbizo. What exactly is the idea?
So this is a coming together of everybody who works in the language sector. But I must say that it's a spin-off of the Pendurang Award, which celebrates 30 years. The Pendurang Awards was started as an advertising awards program for anything that is done in Indigenous languages, including Afrikaans. And then as it evolved, we started with a decade of Indigenous languages, which is a UNESCO concept. We started the Pendurang Indigenous Language Imbizo in 2022, and we will keep on running with that until 2034, where we really come together and we look at what it is that we must do together as a society to embrace the role of Indigenous languages and to advance those Indigenous languages. So the concept is a get-together tomorrow in Imbizo from 9 until 12 at the University of Johannesburg's Arts Centre.
Well, so talk to me. It's an Imbizo. It's a gathering. What exactly do we seek to achieve?
So we want to share ideas and we want to make plans. We also celebrate some of the people who's already making apps that help kids at a young age to learn languages. We know that we're a fragmented society. We know that globalization wants us all to speak English. And what we're saying is that these Indigenous languages are part of our DNA or our brand as a country. And without them, we can't be excellent. And so what we're trying to do is to find solutions for giving these a more pronounced role in our society.
I mean, what fascinates me is the idea of using new technologies to help preserve, but also perhaps to mark the evolution of Indigenous languages specifically. All right, so let's go through the tagline, Decoding the Future of Indigenous Expression. How do the emerging technologies, whether it's AI or other digital tools, assist in all of this?
So you'd be amazed at how good AI has become already at learning our languages. I find for myself, if I have to type an email in Afrikaans, I often go and ask ChatGPT to check my grammar, because in business we speak English every day. But when you do speak in your Indigenous language or write in your Indigenous languages, it's incredible how machines can help us to reflect. The role of your grandmother who taught us our languages can these days be amplified by machines. And so for Pendurang, which is really about excellence in Indigenous languages, this helps us with the basics. I don't think machines can become excellent at language just yet, but they can help us with the basics.
What about, for example, somebody who, as you say, functions in their career space having to speak English and who just finds that whether it's Afrikaans or isiZulu or whatever Indigenous language, they're not able to teach their children quite as much as they would like. Are there tools that would be available for young ones who want to learn particular languages if perhaps for whatever reason their parents might not be able to?
Yes, absolutely. So one of those apps is something called Limu. The founders of that are speaking at the Imbizo tomorrow, and they've developed this app exactly for that reason, as a tool for parents who want their kids to learn an Indigenous language, even though they may be going to English schools these days, to help in that process. So we're really shining the light on the people who is already leading in that field. We've also seen in the past few years the enormous growth in Indigenous language children's books. There's a whole revival in publishing in Indigenous language books, and these are all ways that we can make sure that the next generation can carry these languages forward.
All right, the creators of Limu will be there. Who else?
So tomorrow we're joined by Brand South Africa, who's a new partner. We're co-hosting this with a Pan South African Language Board. We have got people talking about specifically what the Competition Commission's report really means for South African media, and specifically Indigenous language media. So with that, we're joined by the Independent Publishers Association, as well as Paula Frey, who will be unpacking that for us. And then we're also looking at language as resistance, the creative expression and cultural reclamation. So there's so many starting points and flash sessions during this Imbizo. It's only 2.5 hours long, and it's a wonderful way to start thinking about Indigenous languages. And because the Indigenous languages are protected in our constitution, but that doesn't mean that we've established their role in society and practically make that work for us.
Allow me to go on a tangent. I remember reading a book, the name of its author completely escaped me right now because I'm getting old. But essentially the argument that was being made there, Eben, was even if you look at, let's take something as random as the Roman conquest of Europe, right?
Yeah.
We have all these books about how the Gauls fought back against the Romans. There are all these heroes. And essentially, those are books written in the Romantic languages, which ultimately means the Romans won. Isn't that what we understand about language ultimately, that throughout human history, language preservation has been influenced by conquest, by who writes the history, and that ultimately any language will ultimately move on and perhaps even die?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a well-known fact that history is written by those who win. And so we need to make sure that these languages of ours are protected. We need to make sure that they're celebrated, and we need to make sure that we spend time creatively in finding ways to celebrate folklore, poetry, all of these things that's done in our Indigenous languages. But it's also a language of business. We see that in advertising, how advertising is more efficient when it's done in Indigenous languages. So our role here is really to look at every way that we can look at Indigenous languages, whether it's about environmental protection, whether it's about children's literacy, whether it's about advertising, and finding ways to learn from the people that are working in those fields.
I was completely ineloquent. The book I was thinking of is it's a story from *Sapiens*. This is Harari's book.
Harari, yes.
Yes, that's who I was thinking of. He makes this argument, and I'm going to try and push back a little again. Languages evolve. The way people speak evolves. Languages die. Is this not a losing battle? I'm playing devil's advocate. Playing devil's advocate here, please.
Please do, but languages, we believe, evolve, and that's why we've got a future view on languages. Languages, our tagline this year with the Penrose Awards was, "Taal never die, we multiply." We often see how languages evolve, so we celebrate the new variants of language that happen, how words are adopted from one language into another. Even the word Taal, an isiZulu person, when they talk about language, uses the word Taal, which is quite interesting. We borrow and language evolves. It's a living, breathing thing, and that's why we believe that it's important to emphasize that creative expression or the creative excellence in languages is what's going to make it continue and move forward into the future.
How do you deal with language purists who insist...
Oh, it's an interesting subject. Every year at the Imbizo, there are people that says, you're not allowed to speak isiZulu a certain way on the radio because that's not pure. In Afrikaans, we had that whole same thing about standaard Afrikaans for very many years. And now we accept and we celebrate the fact that there's regional variances of languages. If you just look at Afrikaans and Kaaps and the way people speak in the north versus the south. So what we're also doing is we're bringing language groups together to share their frustrations, their challenges, etc., so that we can learn from each other. And that whole thing of language purism is a very interesting one, because you've got people who want to conserve the way that people spoke in certain regional areas many years ago, but we say no, in Johannesburg we're going to evolve because we listen to each other, and it's incredible how much people understand of each other's languages when you start just talking.
And you distill some of the common words, right? How do you deal with as we mentioned, technologies and apps and things of that sort, but there's also what I might call internet speak, right? The abbreviations that people use as part of social media communication and how those things creep into language and everyday speech. Are those things to be resisted or embraced?
Embraced, absolutely. I remember. I mean, there was an app last year that we looked at called Mzansi Tal, and that was specifically about new words, new acronyms that form part of how people speak in the street. So these are all things to be studied. These are things to be celebrated. These are not things to be suppressed. That would be absolutely ludicrous to try and suppress the way one person speaks and tell them to speak in another way. So this is really about celebrating it and making sure that we can imagine futures for our Indigenous languages. Because as I said, that part of Brand South Africa, that part of the DNA. When people like Tyler or anybody else who makes it big on a world stage, you can always trace it back to an Indigenous language. And if we forget our Indigenous languages, then we as a brand, as a country brand, suffers from that. It's part of our DNA.
All right, it's happening tomorrow at the UJ Arts Centre. This is at the Kingsway campus. This is the Auckland Park one. Am I correct?
Yes, and it's from 9 till 12:30, so it's only 2.5 hours, and everybody is welcome. If people want to have more information, they can go onto the website. They're welcome to do that. What I'll actually also do is to go one step further and give your listeners a code that they may be able to use if they would like to get a free ticket for that. If I may be allowed to do that.
Of course.
So you go onto the website and you...
Give us the address.
The address is pendurang.co.za. That's going to take you through to TIXA, where you'll be able to get your ticket. And then if you go and use the following code, your ticket will be zero-based. So let me just give it to you. It's capital IMB 25 VIP. So IMB 25 VIP will get you a free ticket into the Indigenous language in Imbe.
So go to Pendurang, which is PENDORING.co.za. Go to the TIXA section, and your ticket will be free if you enter the code capitals IMB25 VIP. Eben, fascinating conversation. No doubt tomorrow is going to be even more so with all the experts and the fiery discussions, no doubt. Thank you so much and good luck.
Thank you, Bongani.
All right, Eben Kian there, the General Manager and co-creator of the Indigenous language Imbizo.
702 podcasts are on 702.co.za.
And on that note, we end this edition of 702 Breakfast. We'll see you bright and early tomorrow morning. The Clement Manyatala Show starts now.
This is EWN.
Good morning, I'm Sfiso Zulu. Former Ekurhuleni City Manager Imogen Mashazi will appear before